Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans dedicated to our favorite teams and to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and, well, everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to fanatics.com by using the QR code on your screen right now to celebrate your teams. That's fanatics.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Discover our collection of handcrafted candles. That's right, every product is thoughtfully created in small batches free from harmful toxins for mindful everyday indulgence. Our candles are hand-poured in coconut soy wax with natural wood wicks, offering a long-lasting burn and rich fragrances. Create a cozy, safe ambiance for your home with candles from Alley Rose Fragrances. First-time customers use the promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. AlleyRoseFragrances.com, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Podcast Network.
Welcome to the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I am Rob Rozycki. We have Eli Moon, and unfortunately, Double A looks a little different. He was a victim of a tragic farming accident earlier this week. No, we have our buddy Jak John in. Double A is in somewhere. I think he's in the Midwest. I want to say Chicago. Hopefully, he's having some Mindy's Bakery right now, and everything is all better. But how are we all doing today on this Sunday night? I was going to say in Northeast Ohio, but Jak John, you're what, in Saskatchewan?
I'm in South Canada right now, in Minnesota. Yeah.
Okay. How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I've had a great weekend. The sun's shining here, at least in Cleveland. I talked to Jak John before. I wasn't able to break down the exact trees that are around him, but they are nice and they have flowers apparently. So that's very good. I'm feeling great. Weather's shining. I think I got a tan this weekend. I'm trying to avoid thinking about the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Moon, I've never seen you have a tan in your life.
No,
you go from pale to burnt.
And the thing is, like, I think about it at times, Rob, right? And I'm curious to hear Jak on how he's doing this weekend. Before we get there, though, I've been at a point in my life where I've thought about it. You know, everybody has spray tans. I just think I couldn't pull it off. I think I'd look like, like the episode of SpongeBob when they go in the fryer and they come out and they're like, "You're golden, you're beautiful." Like, that's like what I would turn out like. And I don't think I want to be there. So I'm doing good otherwise. And no tan. Jak John, what's up, dude?
Nothing much. No, my week has been pretty cool. Especially getting a call from you guys going, "Hey, you want to come on and talk sports for a little bit?" And I was like, "What sports?" Yeah, we can do it.
Yes. No, and we've had a lot to talk about, and quite honestly, it's actually apropos that the three of us are speaking on this day, because I believe, and it was a lack of sunlight that actually reminded me of this whole thing, or lack of resistance towards it. We are the three that did go with each other to the Cavs championship parade 10 years ago, where Eli almost died of sun poisoning. Realize, dude, like, seriously, that actually almost happened.
That's dead ass true. Yeah, true. Dead ass.
You weren't right for about 4 months. I had a tan line of a bandana around the top of my head for about a week and a half that I had to wear a baseball cap in public at all times. But yeah, it's been 10 years since all that's gone down. Eli's gotten a lot more hair. I've gotten a lot more gray hair. Jak John, you've aged very well throughout this whole situation. But yeah, it's kind of apropos we get to talk about the Cavaliers' demise together.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I mean, my goodness, pals. I mean, yeah, I remember that 2016 championship parade like it was yesterday, right? I mean, I remember me falling asleep in Mall C. I was Mall C, the pavilion, So let's pull the curtain back. We got a lot to catch up on here before we get into this demise, this terrible Cavaliers team, Rob. I want to think about some fun times for a second here, if I may. You think about, we planned this out. Like, Jak and Rob and I were talking. We're like, all right, we're gonna go to the main spot where they're going to pull in and they're going to talk, and that's going to be the moment. Well, I think we did it a little wrong if I'm looking back 10 years later now, because, man, there's so many of my bros that, like, were in the midst of the cars and JR and all those guys. Now, it's okay. We camped out. The sun came up. We got into the spot. And I remember passing out, not from heat exhaustion, thank God, but I passed out for like a solid 2 or 3 hours. And I remember waking up, and I got to give you guys credit because I could have easily got jumped, like pickpocketed, whatever. There was a ton of people, and you guys had my back. So you know what? For that, I'm grateful.
I remember sitting what in a previous generation we called it Indian style, but I think it's crisscross applesauce now, and basically sleeping while sitting up for a little bit, because I think the mistake we all made was we showed up about 5 hours earlier than I think than anybody needed to show up. We wanted those primo seats, and we thought showing up at 2:00 in the morning in downtown Cleveland was going to help things out. I don't know if it did.
Well, do you remember? It was back in the day when we worked at a certain spot, and like we got off of work and we did our normal nonsense, which is let's talk until midnight. Yeah. And then it was literally like, oh, hey, that parade's happening tomorrow. You just want to go down. Like, we didn't sleep.
Yeah, I think we hit Walmart, and like I had a pack of bologna and a loaf of bread, and that was my food for the day. Yeah, that was, we just kind of went right, before pandemic when Walmart was 24 hours. Yeah, imagine those great times.
Dude, it was crazy to think about too, right? And, I think I had Chex Mix or something along the lines. I'm a snacker, so I had like Chex Mix.
You were 19 years old. We could have given you a piece of plastic to gnaw on all day, and you would have been okay nutritionally.
You're damn right. You're damn right. But it is crazy now. You think about it 10 years later, right, guys? Here we are talking about this Cavaliers team that, for all intents and purposes, if I may say, I did the post game last night with TK Dandridge here on the Inside Edge Network, and I truly think that was the end of the Cavaliers season. I think, Chad and I will talk after tomorrow's game. We'll see if they get the victory, but if they do lose, I think we already did the ceremonious, hey, this is the end of the rope, like the end of the line, like whatever, whatever you want to say, whatever phrase, saying, whatever. This has just been absolutely embarrassing. I am embarrassed right now to be a Cavaliers fan. And it's not because my team lost. It's not because the Knicks are up 3-0. It's the fashion that we have gotten here. A 22-point game, 22-point lead blown in game one. A terrible look. Game two, you have the classic Kenny Atkinson. Well, we were in the 100th percentile or 90th percentile of shots. So, and we have some, we'll hear from Kenny later. But my goodness, bro. Game three, it's like their 2K controllers died. They just stopped playing in the final 2 minutes. Like, Jalen Brunson had a wide open layup. So how can you be proud of this team? And I am. Let me be clear. I'm proud of the accomplishments they got into. That doesn't disregard the fact that I think they should blow this whole thing up and retool, because clearly this is not the way to go. I'm embarrassed, Rob. Jack, I'm just embarrassed.
I mean, I'm embarrassed for sure. The one thing I will disagree with you with is that yesterday was not the end of the Cavs season. That did happen when they did blow that 22-point lead. I think we all kind of realized what that was. I mean, I compared it to game one of 2018 when JR forgot what the score was, and all of a sudden LeBron, that infamous photo of LeBron just open-handed pleading with JR, going, "What the fuck are you doing?" That was based, and if you remember that series, it was a tight game with Golden State. Golden State was pretty ragged, they were they were the well-rested team. Hopefully we're going to knock the rust off with a win. Maybe we can make it a series that way. A little bit of replay of 2016. That was what this was. New York was rested. New York was rusty. New York took a while to get going, and we were up 22 points. In any other situation, that is an NBA win with 8 minutes to go. And then when the Knicks basically, Stella got our groove back and figured out what was going on. And it's been a different series basically since that 8:07 mark in the fourth quarter where Donovan Mitchell had that big 3-point shot. It's been pretty much downhill since then, and it's been a funeral dirge since.
Yeah, absolutely embarrassing. And Jack John, I know you're Cleveland at heart. I know you were up there in the north, and you're probably hunting bears out there, and I don't know what else they hunt out there, but I'll leave that to you, pal. What have you kind of made of, the Cavaliers series against the New York Knicks? Let me ask you, we haven't talked to you about any of this Cavaliers series here on air on the Inside Edge Network, but I'm just curious, what are your thoughts? Are you proud of this Cavaliers team, Jack John?
Oh, that's a great way to ask that question. Are you proud? Here's my thought on it. Right now, no. You can't be proud. You cannot be proud of what they're doing because they're giving up. They have given up. Rob, I think you're right. I think they gave up in game one. They gave up certainly in game two. Game 3 was, I think I watched the first quarter and I was like, okay, I see where this is going. I'm done. Like we can go to bed. We don't need to watch this. But take a step back and like, how long does it have to take? Like, is it after the championship is won by whoever it may be that we're going to sit back and go, hey, they made it to the conference finals. Yay. What a great season.
Well,
Go ahead, Rob.
The thing is, in what management will say if this roster doesn't change this offseason, and there's a possibility that it won't.
I want to come back to that point in a second here, but go ahead.
Is that the previous 2 years they have gotten knocked out in the second round of the playoffs. The year before that was the first round. They have now been progressing up the ladder. They have done better than they did the year before, and that's what we're looking for. We are obviously looking for a championship, but we're also looking for development, and this team did do better than the last year's squad. That's what they're going to look at, and I think that is worth noting that they have gotten further with this core now than they ever have. But, with the manner in which this series is being lost, I think we've been talking about this, Eli and Anthony and I have the last few weeks, is there anything that can happen right now that would screw with Kenny Atkinson's future with his employment here? And this series has gone about the worst way it could possibly go. So there is that to be said for, but yeah, you got to look at it by saying, Eastern Conference Final, we're all looking at this in 10 years. If we're talking in 2036 about all this stuff, we're going to remember the conference final. We might remember the blowout, but we're not going to remember too much else.
And you know what, Jack John, I know you want to swing it back to the management discussion. What I'll say to add on to that is Kenny Atkinson made a decision to tie his coaching career here in Cleveland for the foreseeable future to James Harden, when he mentioned that he's the best isolation defender on the team. And, we are here because of James Harden. And, I'm going to be honest, I have not heard Kenny Atkinson, since he's been the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, talk about any of his star players the way he did about James Harden. You would have thought he drafted James Harden, maybe went through the ringer with him his rookie year, whatever. Like, he was talking like he's been with James Harden the last 16 years of his NBA career. It was mind-boggling to me, and I love Kenny Atkinson. I mean, I think he's been a good, solid coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers and has stayed out of the way for the most part, and he said some stuff to be critical of this team. However, when you tie yourself to James Harden, which is what Kenny Atkinson did after game 1, the debacle, the ISO, straight, Jalen Brunson took James Harden on the island, and he cooked them for 8 straight minutes. It was embarrassing. And that's the word of the day with the Cavaliers here for me. But you think about Kenny Atkinson. He tied himself to James Harden. So to your point, Rob, is there something that could get Kenny Atkinson fired in a moment's notice? I think there is. And I think it's the fact that he leaned on James Harden so heavily, though, and despite game 3. If you want to talk about game 3, that was Harden's best game. I said it yesterday on post game. They should have stayed with him as him running the offense. They should not have went back to Don. I know it's crazy to say, but that's how I stand. But you think about Kenny Atkinson. He tied himself to James Harden. So I think for that, mixed in with probably some of the worst quotes and sound bites you could think of for an NBA coach in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think Kenny Atkinson is, call me crazy, I think he's gone. I think they're going to move on from Kenny Atkinson. There's enough coaches out there right now, and there's going to be more coaching opportunities that open up candidates. Of course, you'll have the college discussion, but I'm going to be honest. I'm right there with Kyle Cornell from Unfiltered here on the network. I believe Jason Kidd's the next head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and especially if you have the talks of Giannis and LeBron, and you're talking, okay, do we get these two guys in here? Well, I talked about it yesterday. I'll bring it up again here today. Jason Kidd was the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, who was obviously the star, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Jason Kidd also was on Team USA, the team that won gold. I mean, he's done that a few times since. But that team that brought it back, who was on that team? LeBron James. So I just think there's a lot of similarities, a lot of comparisons there, and honestly, a lot of dots to be connected that I think it makes a ton of sense for the Cavaliers to just wash their hands with not only this construction of the roster, but also Kenny Atkinson's got to go. If you're playing the analytics stuff, go meet Paul DePodesta in Colorado. Go be part of the Rockies front office. I don't know what to tell you, pal. I'm over.
Well, the thing is, the entire league's doing analytics. The craze of the 3 is analytics, and the analytics is 3 is more than 2. And the idea of you hit I think it's what you hit 2 out of 5 threes is just as good as hitting 4 out of 5 twos. So okay, it is what it is. But that's where they're at right now. I don't know with Atkinson. and we can play the sound here. I know we grabbed a little bit of where the Cavaliers mindset is right now after going down 3-0 to the New York Knicks. One of those being a humiliating 22-point comeback in the fourth quarter. But this is where the Cavaliers are at mentally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you're going to play it. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I agree. Here's the clip. I got it. Boom.
Analytically, I think we've won the I said 3 out of 3. We're 2 out of 3 in the expected. I don't know if you guys follow that. Is it an expected score? And we won 2 out of 3. And I know you're looking confused, but I'm not. There is really, if you believe in process and all that, like man, take that later. I know I don't throw that on them. I see it for myself. We have this feeling. I have this feeling. Then I can go to our analytical table and be like, man, we are. I think last night it was the expected score was like 1 point or 2. Us shooting way below expected, them shooting way over. I know no one wants to hear that. I think you guys like hearing it. I know, general public, no one wants to hear that. Everyone's outcome based. And, sure, I get that too.
Here.
What?
He came off a little bit in that deal as the Charlie Day meme from Always Sunny, and he has the bulletin board and he's doing all the stuff behind him and everything like that. That's how he kind of comes off. He's like, yeah, man, okay. Yeah, he's panicked, and that's more so than any other one moment, any one little instance here of one decision. That's where I'm more concerned than anything, is that Kenny Atkinson looks like the water's not at eye level. The water's over his head. And it looks like he's drowning right now. He's treading water, just trying to get some air. And I don't need that from my head coach. And you bring up Jason Kidd, he's definitely a possibility. I don't think has he won a title as a coach? I don't think he has.
No.
But he's won a title as pretty much everything else. So cool. And he's also kind of, he has more of a hard note. He's accountable. I would have a feeling this team would be accountable for some of these collapses, because, if he's whether or not you're talking about what he just said there, or the gem that he had after game 1 about, for 3 quarters, we played really great basketball. Well, for 3 quarters, the Titanic had a really nice voyage. So, and yeah, much like the Titanic, we are a little bit more of an outcome-based society on this one. Did you get to the end of the voyage? Yes or no? And they haven't yet. So that's where I'm kind of at with Kenny right now, is where we were flying high a week ago after game 7. We could do no wrong. We thought Kenny was fine. I don't know if Kenny's gone, but the ice is a whole lot thinner than maybe it was last week.
I'm going to say this. I think Kenny needs to be kicked. And I'll say this. Moon, you bring up some great points. Rob, you bring up some great points. For me, I think it's real simple. I hate his decision when it comes to his secondary and third lines. I think they're effing horrible. And I think you have a team here to actually make a good bench team. The only reason Toronto stuck around for as long as they did, Cleveland should have kicked their asses. They didn't have a second unit that could deal with their second unit. Their second unit looked better than their first unit half the time. With Toronto, Detroit, I don't know what happened there. They should have beat them earlier too. But that sound clip, what an effing loser! Like, what in the world what did he just say? Oh, analytics told us we won 2 of these games. You lost game 1 by what, 15? Or I'm sorry, 11. You lost by 11.
In overtime, yeah, when you were up by 22. It was a 33-point swing.
Right. Game 2, 93-109. And then game 3 that happened, yesterday, 121-108. Show me what AI, show me what toddler you're giving a calculator to show you, hey, these are the numbers that we're winning at. We're winning at tying our shoelaces on defense and not boxing out or doing something like that. Okay, great. Yep, we won those. What the hell is he talking about? What stats did we win?
Yeah, and it makes me think too, right? And I'm curious your thoughts as well, Rob, on this. But makes me think too, like how much we talked a little bit before we even got on air, you're on air a little bit here, but how much do teams in the NBA really value analytics? I know it was a big talk with the Cleveland Browns and Paul DePodesta, and and that's why he's over in Colorado, because analytics work best in baseball, where you are playing 162 games. So yes, trends and those things are going to typically follow. I get it. We're in a race to 16 wins right now, and we're going to fall short more than likely unless we have something miraculous happen, and we might have to have Jak John back on at that point because he might be the good luck charm. But we unless we get something miraculous happening, the Cavaliers are not going to get to that 16th win to ultimately hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. So Rob, I'm just curious, like we hear this talk of Kenny Atkinson and the analytics and I think of AA back 10 years ago screaming at the top of his long analytics. But how much does that really factor in? I just feel like Kenny's hiding from the fact that he's getting outcoached by Mike Brown. Yeah. I think his players are getting outclassed on the floor. It's an overall just outclassing.
Well, the thing is the analytics say James Harden getting that ass kicked defensively. You go down the stretch with that, with game one and that blown lead, and I wish I had the stats in front of me right now. I think it was like 7 times they had him in isolation, and Brunson specifically, and just went at him. They were doing everything they could to switch him on pick and rolls to make him on the primary ball handler, and then exploiting that. The analytics says James Harden was getting that ass kicked. The analytics also say that James Harden, I think it's a majority of the games or close to it this playoffs, have had more turnovers than field goal attempts. So yeah, I think what that was, in coaching terms, they call that bullshit. Yeah. He was just answering and answering, just kind of throwing some cliches and buzzwords and whatever out there, which is a clue to me that, yeah, he has no rhyme or reason for what he's doing right now. He's on tilt. He's trying, he's the drowning man trying to get some air. He's just grabbing for something. And I don't like that out of my head coach in this situation. If there's one guy that is supposed to have their shit together, it's supposed to be the head coach. And, with that 22-point loss and everything they were talking, you heard Kenny talk after, we've alluded to it too. My question has been, like, was there anybody in that locker room looking around like the Seahawks when Marshawn didn't get the ball at the end of the Super Bowl, where you got that Seattle defense and Marshawn and all these guys going, bro, I don't know if we have the right guy leading this team. I don't know if I can trust him when it counts to make the right call. I've lost respect for you. And how many times did you see James Harden get his ass beat in that game one where somebody had to have been on that bench going, what are we doing? Like, bro, like Jalen Tyson sitting there going, I've been in the NBA for 15 minutes comparatively, and I know this is a bad game plan. What are we doing? So,
yeah, dude. Rob, and not to interrupt you, pal, but I'm getting frustrated because you look at this, right? Jak John, and both of you brought up great points, but you talk about that second unit. There is no NBA playoff game where Dean Wade should be the starting small forward for the Cleveland Cavaliers. There's none. He played 17 minutes yesterday. He went 0 for 1 from 3. That was his only shot attempt of the game. And we're trying to reason and rhyme and all that fun jazz, when in reality, Game 7 was the perfect Kenny Atkinson rotation. It was the perfect Donovan Mitchell game. It was perfect. It was literally as perfect as you could draw up a Cavaliers victory in the time we absolutely needed it. And they went away from it. They put Max Strus back in the second unit. I've stressed that Max Strus and Sam Merrill should not be playing a majority of the same time together. They're both three-point shooters. Yes, Max Strus can make more happen on the ball and even off the ball a little bit more. But Sam Merrill primarily shoots the lights out of the three ball. He doesn't get as much spacing when you have another guy who's trying to create the spacing for himself as well, and Max Strus. So I thought it was crazy to go back to Dean Wade in this Eastern Conference Finals. I get he plays good defense at times with Jalen Brunson. Right now, Jalen Brunson is cooking everybody. We could put one of us out there. He's cooking us. He's absolutely cooking us. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the excuses from Kenny. It's like, dude, we have given you enough goodwill. You were supposed to be the guy that came in and created this ball movement. I've seen more isolation basketball in this Eastern Conference Finals than I've seen pick and roll. And you notice when they go to pick and roll, the Knicks cannot stop them. I actually had an interview with Spencer Davies from Clutch Points and Basketball News earlier this week on Friday for primetime. And he talked about the pick and roll and getting the bigs involved. They don't have an answer in New York for Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Sure, Cat's going to stop somebody. And if you put Mitchell Robinson in there for a time, sure, they may make it a little harder. But you cannot stop those guys. They are two of the best bigs in basketball when they want to play like it. And they haven't been the issue in the Eastern Conference Finals. Could they get a few more shots up here or there? Sure. They are not the issue in this Eastern Conference Finals. So that's where I'm at. I'm frustrated, man. And if you ask me, and I guess we are talking about it here, so I guess you kind of asked me, I want Kenny Atkinson gone. I think he should start packing his bags, maybe find a nice Airbnb to kick it out in New York for a few days, go see Times Square, go enjoy yourself, since that's apparently what you've been doing. I mean, I don't know what to do. Because here's the reality. The Cavs are probably going to win tomorrow night. Chad and I are probably going to have a post game where we talk about them winning. They are not going to get swept more than likely. They're going to go out and play like it's game 7. They're going to win game 4. And unfortunately, we're going to have to play the sad trombone back to New York when they get their absolute asses handed to them. I mean, it is just Jak John. Am I tripping here?
I think you're crazy. I think they get swept. I think tomorrow's goodbye. Right. But and you're getting into what I wanted to ask both of you, because I'm like, okay, great. We can sit back, bitch, moan. I think everybody's doing that, right? And everybody rightfully has all that ability. How do they come back and win? Like, in your head, Moon, I 100% agree with you. I don't think anybody look, there's a freaking alien in San Antonio, but like Mobley and Allen, man, we got to get them more involved. Like massively more involved.
The first thing that would have to happen, I think, is we'd have to file a missing persons report on Jalen Brunson. I think as long as he's in the building, we're pretty screwed. Maybe, I don't know, having some sort of bell, I don't know if he takes an Uber over or takes team transportation. Maybe if there's an Uber driver, take him to East Cleveland instead. I don't know. Maybe
once around the park, Bitterman.
Yeah, something like that. Show them Collinwood, all the nice sites here. At this point. But to get back in this, the limited success the Cavaliers have had, in all seriousness, have been through the bigs. You look at when they got off to a good start, in game 1 and in game 3 especially. It was Evan Mobley. It was Jared Allen kind of leading the charge here, and Evan disappeared completely in game 1 in the second half. Very limited. I think he got a little hot in garbage time in game 3, but they need him around in these second halves. They need Jared Allen as a presence, because if you got those guys moving down low, I mean, the Cavaliers were pretty much matching what the Knicks were doing in the first half. While the Knicks were hitting threes, the Cavaliers weren't. They were just destroying them with mid-range and stuff, with stuff underneath the bucket. If you can get that moving, and assuming maybe you hit 5% more of your threes, you hit 2 or 3 more shots than you did last time around, it could be a completely different story. But that's how you do it. It's an inside-out game. I know we got the star power in the backcourt, but the front court's where this team lives.
Yeah, and I'm just frustrated, man. You think about everything that they could have done right in this series, they have gone the opposite of. That's like, I mean, dude, it's like the fans are asking for. I know we got to go to break here in a second, Rob, so I'll kick it back to you. But this is my comparison to go to break. It's like, okay, the fans are like, man, we have a great sandwich in terms of like comparing the Cavaliers team to a great sandwich. You know what? It doesn't need to be complicated. We got peanut butter and we got jelly. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Now together, the guards are going to be the bread. They're going to keep everything together, run the pick and roll, get it to the jelly and the peanut butter, the good stuff. That's what we need. Instead, Kenny Atkinson has served us a BLT, and I fucking hate BLTs. Back to you, Rob.
That's a hot take. That's a very hot take.
Let's go to break then. Let's go to break then where I get eviscerated.
That's a very oh yes. Well, we might get into Eli's taste in sandwiches coming up next, and his lack of love of the BLT. Also, too, we have skirted around it. There's an elephant in the room. There is somebody who is truly at fault for this Cavaliers downturn. We will come back. We'll talk about Eli's Taste and Sandwiches, and we'll also, too, talk about Nixhausen. And we will get into a possible, and again, I'm conflicted as an adult human being about this. While we're on break, just if you don't know professional wrestling, just Google Danhausen and Cavs, and you'll be caught up. We'll come back through you, and we'll talk about this whole situation that has me conflicted, really, as an adult human being. I don't know what to do. I don't want to speak for Eli and Jak John, but we'll talk about that. We also got Guardians coming down, too. They have been winning and winning and winning. If it wasn't for the Guardians right now, Cleveland sports fan would be having a very, very long week. But yeah, coming off a 4-game sweep in Detroit, they just took 2 out of 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll get into that too. Also, news and notes. We have a college football playoff that has been revamped yet again. We'll get into that. Just a lot of stuff happening throughout this show. And then I am told we're going to talk some hockey. Is that what I'm hearing too?
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay, I think we've caught, and I think we've talked about, a little bit. I think we talked rugby more than we've talked hockey, but we'll get into that too. Golf, we've definitely talked more of. But yes, this is the main event on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I am Rob Rozycki. We have Eli Moon. No, Double A did not have a tragic farm accident. He's our buddy Jak John. He is in for Double A. Double A, I hope you're having fun in Chicago. Please don't get shot. We'll be right back here on the Inside Edge Net.
Clean energy, bold flavors, and no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Clean energy, no jitters or crash. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. With over 15 flavors to choose from, you can't miss. Order W Energy right now by using the QR code on your screen and use the promo code InsideEdge10 to receive 10% off your order. W Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Mosser Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Inside Edge Network's very own Ryan Mosser and his wife, Hallie. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northern Ohio but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more at MosserMomentsPhotography.com by using the QR code on your screen right now. MosserMomentsPhotography.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Hey guys, what a show today on Unfiltered. Talked about a lot of stuff, including the issues with the Parma School Board. Plus, did you see that crazy situation involving in that school out in Toledo? Kindergarten graduation, the fight, that was insane. Great talk with Jake Underwood too. Make sure you guys check out the episode. We will be back on Monday, a special Memorial Day edition at 5 o'clock here of Unfiltered on the Inside Edge Network. Where are the Cavs? What do they do Saturday? We'll give keys to the game for Monday night and Game 4. All that on the way on your Memorial Day. We will see you then.
And we thank you for your support of the Inside Edge Network. And don't miss my show, Midnight Run, right here on the Inside Edge Network. You won't miss a single episode when you like and subscribe at Inside Edge Net.
Welcome back to the Inside Edge Net. This is the main event. I am Rob Rozycki. I have really great timing. I just sat down. We are doing really good, everybody.
Dude, you're a superstar, pal. I just, you know what? You don't get your flowers enough here on these Sunday nights. I know I give you a lot of hell. That was impeccable timing. That was impeccable.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, it was quick. No, we are good to go. The other thing is good to go right now. I did mean to give everybody an update right now. The San Antonio Spurs they have actually just gotten into the second half, 57-41. Victor Wembanyama, we need to get us one of those. He has 25 points, and we're barely into the third quarter at this point. So I think he is establishing his dominance in the NBA. And we'll get to the all-NBA teams coming up, too, in a little bit, probably next segment here. But yes, we are going to continue our Cavs talk for just a little bit longer. We got Eli Moon, Jak John in for AA. And, of course, I am Rob Rozycki. But we're trying to dissect and make sense of the first three games of this Cavaliers series. And I don't know if we've gotten anywhere, gentlemen. I think we're all still searching for answers. But the only answer that I really have that has any sort of validity to it right now, we do have some video courtesy of ESPN. I believe this is First Take. It probably doesn't matter the title of the show. They're all kind of interchangeable anyway. But we have WWE superstar Danhausen, who I think is beloved by the three of us normally, but he was starting some shit on First Take.
I do have a special mission I've been sent on, and that is for the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, to let them know that they are cursed.
Oh, man.
Come on,
That
man.
was right before game one, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude, like hours before game one. My heart. You think this playoff series would do enough to me? You would think just losing the Knicks without a curse would do enough to me. You involve one of my favorite, like not even favorite wrestlers, favorite things going on in the entire world right now. And this is what I get, and I know, Rob, I know you brought up that Danhausen from Michigan, and really, who knows where he's from, because he's Danhausen. He's very nice and he's very evil.
Wikipedia.
He's very evil right now. He's very evil. Not very nice unless you're a Knicks fan. And I'm just frustrated. And it makes you think two things. One, why? Why us? And then, you guys brought up great points beforehand that, the Miz, Cleveland guy, he's in a feud right now with Danhausen. So if anything, we blame Triple H for deciding to put a feud between a Cleveland and a New York or a Detroit. Bad move by Triple H. Just bad move. And my other thing is, how real is this curse? Because not only has he done this to the Cavs, he did this in the Knicks. Mind you, him and the Knicks are breaking bread right now, and they're on cursed because they were cursed at 2-2 in the Atlanta series. They got cursed. Atlanta won. I take it back. The Knicks were up 2-0. Atlanta, they got cursed. Atlanta comes back, wins 2, and then he on-cursed them because somebody paid for a cameo. And now they're on cursed, and now we're cursed. I'm so pissed, bro. I'm so pissed. Like, it's taking everything in me to not be mad at Danhausen. I'm like, he's not bad. He's not a bad guy. Just can be very evil at times, and this is very evil. But I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I usually watch a lot of WWE highlights, and a lot of them being Danhausen. But Jak John, Rob, I'm gonna be honest. I've been kind of staying away from him recently. I know he's creating a new monster. I don't got time for him.
Well, first and foremost, where he's from is 1311 Mockingbird Lane, which is also the same house as the Munsters, if you remember that show. Yeah. And a fantastic old show that used to be on Nick and Knight. But you fixed it. I literally asked last segment, or last hour or whatever, break or talk.
Yeah.
How do you fix it? Kids, here you go. I'm talking to you. Don't worry. You two, don't worry about it. Kids, go to your parents' purse or wallet, steal their credit cards, go on
borrow, Jak John. They're going to give it back.
Borrow. Yes. Commandeer. Some would say commandeer it. Take that, go on. What was Cameo? Go on Cameo and have them uncurse.
Yeah.
There you go. And then recurse the Knicks. We just
Can you be recursed? Can you be cursed again? I don't know the rules.
You have to be able to.
I don't know. Rob, what are the rules?
It's like the NBA fouling rules. I'm really not sure what they are, even after 40 years of watching this shit.
This is a flagrant.
First off, I'll be the lawyer out of the three of us. By no means are we advocating at all at the Inside Edge Net or at the Main Event to have anybody steal anything from anybody, parent to child, child to parent, even child to child. Thank you very much. But I don't mind the idea. I wonder if we have some budget in the actual network here for us to throw a cameo up there to plead with Mr. Danhausen, because the issue that I have, though, is that I'm a grown-up. I understand professional wrestling and the working nature behind said art form, and I'll call it an art form when it's done correctly. It hasn't been an art form in a while, but it's an art form. So I know the scripted nature of the situation, and I want to be angry at Danhausen. But at the same time, if I acknowledge my anger at Danhausen, I am acknowledging the fact that a 130-pound dude from Detroit is capable of cursing this team.
Rob, but it's not his physical presence. So that's where we're getting lost.
I'm sorry, he's listed at 6'4", 330. I'm sorry, my bad. But yeah.
It's not his physical presence, though he's a very, very tall and very big guy. What it really comes down to is the curse, right? Because we've seen time and time again. It's not about
I got Going to Clown on my TV right now. He walks so Danhausen can live.
Bro, I'm so upset. A shout out to Omar Clauso, who's going to host our morning show here on the Inside Edge Network on June 1st, starting June 1st. Omar and I were talking. I talked to Omar quite a bit. And I was talking to him. And I said, dude, how can we get behind this guy anymore? He cursed our favorite basketball team. And Omar said very simply, dude, the Cavs were cooked before he cursed them. And, I mean, maybe that's where Cleveland was feeling, all joking aside. Going into this series, the Cavs, no time off, really. They have not had back-to-back days off since, I think, the end of last month, April 29th, I want to say was the last time. They've been playing every other day since. And so maybe in a lot of Cavs fans' mind, this was the end of the rope. This was the achievement, to Jak John's point. Maybe this was the achievement. And maybe they'll look back and a lot of people will be proud. But I'm not, because we won an NBA championship. And this isn't okay, the second run with Donovan Mitchell. No, you've been here for a minute now, pal. Jared Allen, you've been here for a minute, pal. Evan Mobley, you've had enough time to learn who you are in the league. James Harden, we know who you are. If you don't know who you are now, I mean, you're going to have to stare in a mirror for the next 24 hours and figure out who the heck you are. It all comes down to this, Rob. Curses are real, it appears. Because Danhausen, there's no coincidence. I'm just saying, there's no coincidence that he goes on First Take, ESPN, led by a bunch of New York Knicks media or anything like that, and now we're down 3-0. Why? Why us?
I heard James Harden compared to a boat the other day.
Okay.
Do you
Best of
know
all
the two
time.
happiest days you have when you have a boat?
When you buy it, probably is the first one.
When you buy it and when you get rid of it. And I think that's where it is. And were the Cavaliers maybe a little, was there a little hubris involved when they thought that they would be the one that could change James Harden after 16 playoff runs in the NBA? Yeah. It's not working out well. And the problem is, and I know you hit Kenny beforehand for relying on him. What else are you really supposed to do right now? I mean, yeah, you can bring up, Jalen Tyson from the bench. You can try some bench options, but you got this guy on your roster who's making $40 million at this rate. I think it's wrong, but I can see why Kenny's like, okay, we're going to dance with the girl that brung us. But yeah, I mean, this thing's all a mess. And I guess it's probably the easiest thing to do instead of trying to find who specifically to blame on the Cavaliers for this whole mess, to blame the 130-pound pro wrestler out of Detroit, Michigan. We'll go with Nick Housen on that one.
Jak John. Look, I know you dabble in some other sports, and I know you're not the biggest necessarily Minnesota sports fan. Can you do us a favor and maybe get Danhausen off our back? I mean, this is ridiculous, pal. And
Minnesota and Michigan are two different places, right?
Yes, I know. They both start
Okay.
with M, though.
And they both start.
So, yes.
Are you kidding me? I already did. I told your fan base to go borrow and commandeer monies and give him human monies.
We love that. But we want to see how committed you are, pal. We have you here on the main event. We want you to go ahead live on air and pay for this kid. No, kidding.
That actually would be kind of hilarious. I'm not going to lie. That would be kind of funny. But, committing and everything else like that, let's talk about that. Do you really want this version of the Cavs to make it to the finals?
I'd be okay with it. I've said it before. I'd be okay with it. If they got to the finals, I still think they need to figure out bringing in an alpha, because they don't have an alpha. It's not Donovan Mitchell at this point. But I would have been a little bit more okay with them running a majority of this squad back. Now I'm at the point, they're one loss away from me. I'm already there, basically. But
I think where Jak John's going right now with this is that whoever makes this, and the Knicks are going to have a very tall hill to climb if they do close this thing out quickly, because I know it looks like San Antonio is kicking the crap right now out of OKC, but that series is going to be 2-2 if that holds. Whatever team comes out of the West, I would think would be able to handle anything the Cavaliers are going to do over 7 games, or the Knicks. Is that where you're going with that? Are you asking basically, does it matter if they're going to be a sacrificial lamb to begin with?
To a point, yes, but then it comes down to this. It comes down to that is a part of it. The bigger crust of the point that I'm saying here is, okay, great. We're going to win another champion. Even if you do, let's say Danhausen lifts the curse and curses every other thing known to man, and the Cavaliers win a championship. Great. Are you going to wait another 10 years? Is that success to you? Or is it, hey, we're constantly in that fight. We're constantly going up, because again, and we'll touch on this in a bit with, the all-star teams, the all NBA teams and everything like that. You have I was about to say freak. You have one of those in Minneapolis, Milwaukee, but you have an alien over there in frickin' San Antonio. What we have right now in Moon, we're gonna come back to the whole BLT take, where you're like, man, this is it's the equivalent of a BLT and everything else like that.
BLTs aren't good.
Oh, come on, dude.
Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
But here's my point. They aren't a food. They are Baker Mayfield, Cleveland Browns. They can be interesting. They can get to the playoffs. They can win some games. Are you going to win a Super Bowl with what Baker was in Cleveland? I am not saying when he goes and he leaves for whatever. I don't think they have I don't think they have the gas. I don't think they have the people. The only way Baker could have won in Cleveland is if everything went right. And it didn't.
Well, and I think, and maybe an NBA symptom of this is not just a Cavalier problem, But, just like you saw with the Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes and that whole, formula they had out there, how many, and Baker probably could be on that list, how many quarterbacks were dismissed and were parted ways with because they weren't Mahomes? Because, okay, we're not the Chiefs. And I think we're going to have a lot of teams throughout the league that are going to look around and they have two choices out there, OKC and San Antonio, the two teams that are playing right now. You're going to look around and you're going to have teams that are like the Cavaliers, who are a pretty damn talented team when you get down to it. They were in the Final Four in the Eastern Conference, but you're going to have teams like them looking around saying, dude, we ain't good enough to beat that 7-foot alien. We got to go back to the drawing board. And yeah, I don't know if the Cavs are one of those teams, but you're going to see some rosters that are going to be severely retooled, if not blown up completely over the next year or two. And it's going to start this offseason.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jak John.
Yeah, no, and this is the thing. I agree with you. It has to. I'll say this. It has to. I just, with what I said before, going like, hey, after a month, after June, July, those suits, those cats in the analytics people are going to look at it and be like, this year was a success. Let's roll it back. I don't think you're winning with this team. I don't think you're going to win with, and Moon, you said it before, I don't think you're winning with bring LeBron back. I don't think you're winning with bringing LeBron, and if you get somebody like Giannis, right? Because that's another hot name around. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. We're trading Mobley. We're trading Allen in that trade. I don't want to do that. Those are your two, in my opinion, those are your two best players. Those are the ones you actually, build around.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting enough thought, right? But I think the reason Mobley's been in those trade talks is one, because of, these, potential trade talks has been the money, right? The youth of Evan Mobley and the potential of what he could be. We've sat here and speculated for months about, is he ever going to turn into Victor Wembanyama? I'm here to break the news again. We said it across the network. Here's the news. He's not. I mean, like that's just the reality of the situation. Victor Wembanyama, to Rob, literally said it. He had what? You said 25? He had, or 18 or 25?
27 now.
27. I mean, in low
27, 6 boards, 3 blocks.
It's crazy. Evan Mobley's never going to reach that, Jack. So I understand where your sentiment is, but something's got to give. I think
Spurs up by 24 now, by the way.
Crazy. Hopefully they don't blow it. Hopefully they didn't watch the Cavs in game 1.
I mean, what kind of team blows a 20-plus lead in the second half of a playoff game? I mean, you'd have to be a complete joke.
Yeah, I mean, like,
let alone the conference finals.
Yeah, I mean, embarrassing. Absolutely. Hopefully nobody does that. But I think we're all on the same page that the Cavs got to shake it up. Whether it's Kenny Atkinson being gone and or this roster construction being retooled. Because I keep stressing that. I said that on Midnight Run with AA earlier last week. I said, this doesn't have to be a rebuild. I think people get confused between the idea of rebuild and retool. Rebuild is everybody's off the team. We're acquiring as many firsts as OKC, did, or at least try to. And we're going to go try to build this thing from the ground up. But notoriously, the Cavaliers have never been a team-building kind of team. Their only NBA championship was pretty much bought for the most part. I mean, nobody's going to say it here, but it was bought in a way. There's not a lot of homegrown talent on that team. Even LeBron had to come back. So, yes, he's homegrown. I get it. But he had to come back. Kevin Love had to be acquired from Minnesota. They had to go get J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert. They had to go get these guys. And at the end of the day, I don't care how it's done. If they got to go out and completely blow the bank, if Dan Gilbert said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and make sure we ensure another championship, I'm not worried about the next 5 years or 10 years. I don't care. Because if I can get another NBA championship, that you're telling me I have 2 NBA championships, Eli Moon, me here for a minute, I get to celebrate 2 NBA championships before the age of 30. That's something no Cavs fan has been able to say before. So I think that's where Dan Gilbert's at too. You got to think he's at a point where, hey, I want to win, man. And he's very passionate, sending the teams to, the team buses to Detroit, with the fans and really just being active in his playoff run. And let's keep in mind, Dan Gilbert, his health hasn't necessarily been the best over the last couple of years. He's still doing his thing and being a great governor for the Cavaliers. But I just think he wants to win. Something's got to shake up, whether it's Kenny and or the roster. I think we're all on the same page there.
Well, not for nothing. If you look at the Knicks starting 5, Anunoby, Towns, Hart, Bridges, and Brunson, do you know what they have in common? They weren't drafted by New York. None of them. They were all acquired in trades. In case of Brunson, he was signed as a free agent. So, I mean, that's kind of the modern NBA. And that goes to my other point with the league in general. The Cavaliers can't afford to sit and stand pat. Boston's going to do something. to ramp up their roster. Miami, I know they always talk about them whale hunting, but they're looking around for Giannis. And, like there's going to be a lot of teams. Detroit is going to be looking to add and augment their situation. There's going to be a lot of teams in the East, especially, that are going to be building those rosters up. And Giannis is going to have something to say about it. LeBron's probably going to have something to say about it. I think they're both going to, in Giannis's case, stay in the East, but I think LeBron's going to come back somewhere. If it's here, if it's New York, wherever at this rate, who knows? But so the Cavaliers are going to be forced to do something, because I don't think they can just stand pat and watch everything just kind of materialize, because the rest of the East is going to get better. And, again, New York's still going to be there too. New York might be the only team that might not mess with anything. And they're still going to be a threat. So the Cavaliers have to do something. What, I don't know. I mean, again, we're talking about moving big contracts, moving and shaking huge. And it's not like we can just kind of pull those trades out of our keister. So, but the one nice thing is that when Kobe, though, has had this kind of a situation, he has made the big trades. We might not have liked the Harden trade, but he made it. He did bring Jared Allen in by a trade, so he can make those moves if need be. But they're gonna. I don't think. Yeah, I'm with all three. All three of us are kind of stand pat right now, where they cannot move. They cannot just kind of keep going all status quo.
I agree with that. They're going to, though. That's my thought.
Yeah, I can see it. I can absolutely see it.
Yeah,
just for the reasons we gave. We did better this year than last year. We're moving in the right direction.
And all the teams. I mean, you said a whole bunch of teams there. You forgot the Pacers. Like they just had a wasted year. They're not gonna they're a good team. They're a really good team.
They got a Vika Zubac on that Indiana squad that they made a trade for the deadline. I know they're getting a lot of flack right now, and I gave them a little bit of hell for them trading what turned into the number 5 overall draft pick to the Los Angeles Clippers. Kind of an overpay for Zubac, but nonetheless, Zubac's going to be a great center. To your point, Jak John, he is a great center already. And yeah, Tyrese Halliburton, he's coming back. He's healthy. He's ready to play some basketball. The Eastern Conference is going to be light years better, to both your points. I mean, it's going to be light years better. We forget Washington. Washington has Trae Young and Anthony Davis and the number 1 overall draft pick. So if you don't think they're going to be a problem to some degree next year, I think that's too. So
I think the Cavaliers should do?
What's that?
I think we need to trade for Anthony Davis. Here's why.
Oh, no.
Here's why. The Mavericks 2 years ago traded for Anthony Davis. Guess what happened? They got the number 1 overall pick. Washington trades for Anthony Davis this year. Guess what happens? They get the number 1 overall pick.
I love it. If only the Cavaliers were super great at drafting number 1 overall picks, but considering our track history as of late,
we have practice at it. I think we've had more number 1 overalls than anybody ever.
Kyrie Irving and Anthony Bennett. You have the best of both worlds. What do you like, Cleveland?
Well, that dude they picked in 2003 number 1 overall worked out pretty well.
Yeah, but Rob, and I hate to date both of us because it makes me sound old too. That was over 20 years ago.
I get that. And then what do we count Kevin Love as the number 1 overall, or do we judge it on Anthony Wiggins? That's the other one that we have too. So we have practice. And Brad Daugherty was a number 1 overall pick too. So yeah, we've had a lot of number 1s here to practice with. You would think we get pretty good at it. But this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcast Network. Would you want to talk some Guardians coming back from the break, or do we want to move on to the All NBA teams here? I'll leave it up to you two guys.
Jak John, you're our special guest tonight, filling in with us. What would you like to do, pal?
You know what? I hear a whole bunch of Twins talk here, so let's hear some guards.
Okay, and that's actually pretty happy talk too. Yeah, again, Guardians winners of 11 out of the last 13. What is it now? The last 8 out of 9. They have been on fire. They have a 4.5 game lead in the American League Central. So yes, we'll talk some happy talk. A change in the leadoff spot and a hell of a pitching performance from Gavin Williams a couple of days ago. That and a whole lot more. We'll also get into those NBA teams, and then we'll figure out how we're going to get to the end of the show together. This is the main event on the Inside Edge Net. I'm Rob Rozycki. We have Eli Moon. Jak John in for Double A partying it up in Chicago right now. He will be back and better than ever next week, assuming he is not in a holding cell right now. But we'll see if we can get a word from Double A and And we'll finish up the show here on the main event on the Inside Edge Net. This is Rob Rozycki, Jak John, and Eli Moon. We'll be back.
Find us on InsideEdgeNetwork.com for the latest information on your favorite shows, personalities, and network partners. Plus, guess what? We have a merch shop. That's right, we have network polos, t-shirts, champion jackets, hats, and bottles. Rep the network. Every purchase supports independent sports and entertainment media. Use the QR code on your screen right now to check out InsideEdgeNetwork.com. That's InsideEdgeNetwork.com. Whether searching for a baseball autographed by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the web's leading source of authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and players. Not only will you find your next prized sports possession with ease thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, you'll have the satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the sportsmemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee. Go to sportsmemorabilia.com by using the QR code on your screen right now. Sportsmemorabilia.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Podcast Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Chad Bryan and Eli Moon. We are Inside Edge Primetime here on the Inside Edge Network, and we're with you every weeknight from 10 o'clock p.m. to 11 o'clock p.m. or sometimes a little after. And we had a great show here on this Friday, right before your Memorial Day weekend gets going. We talked about those Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes, they're down 0-2, heading back to Cleveland after a disappointing Madison Square Garden experience. how do the Cavs get back on track? We talked about our thoughts after a day to think about it, after game 2. Chad and I talked about it, and then I sat down with Clutch Points and Basketball News and all over the place. Spencer Davies, he had a lot to say about the Cavaliers, gave some perspective, some analysis on the first 2 games, and then give an outlook on how the Cavs can get this done and get back to their first NBA Finals since 2018. Appreciate Spencer for joining the program, and we cannot wait to have him back on. Thank you, Spencer. And then Chad, of course, I know you would have gave me hell all weekend if we didn't talk baseball. So we talked those Gardos. They're on fire.
They are on fire. They're 4 games up in the Central right now. On of all teams, the White Sox. They've won 7 in a row. Eli, they're doing all kinds of stuff they haven't done in years. We talked about it on the show. If you missed it, check it out.
You're dang right. We are going to enjoy the weekend, and we're going to recharge because when we come back, it's going to be a Memorial Day Monday. We will be with you rocking and rolling. Can't wait to talk to you about all of the sports happenings. What happens over the weekend? Well, we'll find out together. Do the Cavs get it done? We'll find out that too. This is Inside Edge Prime Time here on the Inside Edge Network. We'll see you at 10 o'clock p.m. right here, Monday evening.
Discover our collection of body mists made with clean, minimal ingredients. Handcrafted with natural essential oils and clean ingredients, they offer a natural alternative to synthetic fragrances. Perfect for sensitive skin and those seeking clean, mindful self-care, and the perfect gift for you or your special someone. Courtesy of Valley Rose Fragrances. First-time customers, use that promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. ValleyRoseFragrances.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
And welcome back to the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcast Network. We do have Eli Moon. No, AA did not have a horrible accident of any kind. It is Jak John in for AA on this Memorial Day weekend. He is up partying it up with CM Punk in Chicago, along with those White Sox who are around 500 right now. I'm sure they're having the times of their lives. But how are we all doing for the second half, gentlemen?
Oh, dude, I'm feeling good. I just hope Jak John's ready. Look, I know we got it. We pulled him out. We got it. Look, it's like we have a Rolodex of people we can call on this show, like from the past 10, 11 years. Jak John's at like the top of that list. Just to be clear, like Jak John was somebody we were excited to have on. I mean, we'd love to have AA with us, obviously, and all 4 of us. It'd be madness. I don't know how we close out in 2 hours, but just having Jak John here, I'm excited to have him rock for another hour. Jak John, are you feeling good, man? Because if you need some help, we have this this sponsor of ours, our partner. We appreciate them, W Energy. If you use the code InsideEdge10, you can actually get 10% off your order, get some energy going. And I know you're a big candle guy, so maybe you can get some Valley Rose fragrances. You use the code InsideEdge20, you get 20% off your order as a first-time customer, Jak John. So maybe that'll inspire you. Maybe that'll give you the boost for your second hour here with us. How are you feeling? You feeling all right?
After that, you might just hear me be very quiet for this time because I'm just ordering a whole bunch of stuff from candles to energy drinks at that point. My goodness.
I love it. Rob, man, I am so sad talking to Cavaliers. Can we talk about something happy, please?
Yeah, and I saw in your promo with Chad that you guys were alluding to it before. The Guardians. They haven't won 7 in a row anymore. They did lose yesterday, but after a win today, it is now 8 out of 9, 11 out of their last 13 games. And if I would have told you all that, along with the fact that they are up 4.5 games in the American League Central, I think that'd be surprising. But what would be even more surprising is I would tell you all that while simultaneously Jose Ramirez has not looked like Jose Ramirez. And Stephen Kwan's performance has been bad enough in the leadoff spot where he was hitting 8th the other day. So without those 2 guys, the Guardians right now are the class of the American League Central, which I don't know what that means, but it's better than being in the basement. So, yeah, they are red hot right now. Again, winners of 11 out of the last 13 games.
Yeah, and, I think the big thing that's stood out for me, Rob, and Jak, has been Travis Bazana. I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, they call him up and everybody, we alluded to it, Rob, on the network's preview show with Chad, and we had Autumn as well on there. And we were just talking about, the Guardians and the MLB. And we talked about the big boo for the Guardians was going to be Travis Bazana. Now they did shock us by making a trade, giving up a 1st-round draft pick, giving up Matt Tugboat Wilkinson and, going to get in Patrick Bailey, who hasn't been superb. He did have a home run the other day, and he seems like he's starting to warm up. I mean, great Gold Glove catcher, so that's cool. But I think
he's not known for his sticks. So yeah, I mean, he's kind of like another version of Austin Hedges. But
Yeah, and you know what? And I was hoping for a little more offensive pop. I talked to a few of the bros. We've had conversations, off air about, okay, the Guardians are just trying to ensure the defensive side because Bo Naylor is essentially unplayable at this point. That's why I believe, still in AAA now. I think they opted him down. He's in AAA. So, you look at that. I just think the big standout to me, guys, has been Travis Bazana. You bring him up. That was a big move everybody was expecting to be the pop in the offense if he could play well. He's batting close to 300. I know it's not a short sample size still. It's not like he's played the entire season, but he's batting close to 300. And he went, what? I think 3 of 4 today? 3 of 4, 3 of 5 at the plate today. And he mashed another home run. I mean, he has been so much fun to watch. And Chad actually had a really good point on primetime. I believe it was, when we talked baseball on Friday about Bazana. Everybody was kind of hard on him to begin the season, or to begin his MLB career, I should say. Okay, he's striking out, he's not getting on base, but he was walking a lot more than striking out. He was having professional at-bats. He was not looking like a guy who's only played 5, 10 major league games, and it's been really awesome. And I think it's somebody that we can really be happy about in this Guardians offense. We had the early rush of Chase DeLauder, and I mean, he was so much fun. I mean, he's still great, but the home runs early on was so much fun. He's still kind of settling in, but we have him we can lean on as maybe a cornerstone of this offense. We have to start thinking, just on a side note, of life after Jose Ramirez in the next probably 5-6 years. I mean, I'm just being realistic. I'd love for Jose to play another 10, but let's be realistic. And it's guys like DeLauder, Bazana, Manzardo. I've been really excited, Rob, I guess, overall with Bazana, but also this young offense, because a lot of times when you tell me, and I know we got into it, very respectfully, but over the wild card round and the big comeback, I said, that's awesome. But they have a bunch of guys they don't pay, and they're hoping they get more out of them. This year, I feel a little differently, and I did go into the year with a different approach. I'm going to enjoy the season because we might not have baseball next year with the lockout, but I'm also really enjoying that these guys are not just stringing together a hit and then going away for 15 games. They are consistently becoming the staples of our offense, like you alluded to. Steven Kwan, I wonder how much longer he'll be in Cleveland. We can have a discussion either today or another day about that, but I wonder how much longer he'll be in Cleveland. And it's because of this young offense. And even Daniel Schneemann, you brought him up. He's been incredible. Angel Martinez. I'm really happy with the offense, Rob. And I never thought I'd be saying that at the end of May in 2026 about the Guardians.
Yeah, it's amazing what 2 young bats can really do. And no disrespect to Angel or to Schneemann, but you brought them up, DeLauder and Bazana. And we've been told, you're right. Yeah, always, hey, we got young guys coming up. Be excited about the development there. Those are going to be our free agent acquisitions. Those are going to be our key additions. Mm-hmm. And when it was Nolan Jones or Tyler Freeman or Bo Naylor or anybody in the long list of line, that line that was 5 years long, basically, they haven't been right. They are right this year. There is reason to believe in DeLauder and Bazana. What I'm looking at it right now, on base percentage of 400 right now. Yeah, the batting average is hovering around 3, but I'm more worried about that on base percentage. And he mentioned 3 for 4. He did that in the leadoff spot today. He's been batting leadoff now the last 2 games, which shows how much trust they do have in his ability to get on base. And then you throw in the fact, too, that, younger guy, I don't know how speedy he's going to be throughout his entire career, but he's, top 4 in the team in stolen bases. He has 7 already, and this team runs. So, he's already a big part of this. You got DeLauder, a little bit more power. I know he's cooled off a little bit, but between those 2 guys, you said it there, Eli, they're putting together big league at-bats more times than not. They're getting on base more times than not. And it finally, for the first time in since Terry Francona was here, this offense feels more, is more than just Steven Kwan, Jose Ramirez, and 7 other guys. Yes. Mentioned, Kwani ain't even around basically anymore. Jose is, he's getting on base, he's stealing, but he hasn't really kind of been, we haven't seen him get hot yet, and we haven't seen him kind of lead this team offensively yet. That will happen. And the fact that they're 4 games up right now, 4.5 now with the Chicago White Sox loss, but 4.5 up with all of that happening, we'll take it.
Yeah, and Jak John, I know you're up there in the great state of Minnesota, and obviously you're an AL Central rival.
Byron Bucks didn't get hurt yet.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I'm curious what the thoughts are, Jak John. I know your bread and butter, as we all know you here. I mean, in the Inside Edge Network, getting to know you is football and a little bit of basketball as well, but I just want the overall vibe check from you right now. We're an AL Central opponent, right? And you're staying in enemy territory kind of there, being a Twins territory. What has been the word, I guess, about the Twins up there? And like, because you talk about this AL Central, Rob brought it up, and we've talked about it on prime time. The White Sox being in second place, I think, has shocked a lot of people. I asked Chad, I said, hey, what does that mean about the White Sox? Like, when do you believe they're for real? He said, we'll see in August. At the beginning of August, if they're in their spot, then we'll see. But, you see the Twins, they're kind of struggling for the most part this year early on. What's been the overall vibe about the Twins? Because they are usually a thorn in the side for the Guardians. And what have you heard anything good about the Guardians besides what me and Rob just talked about for the last 10, 15 minutes?
Anything good about the Guardians, that is possibly an oxymoron, especially around Minnesota and everything else. To be honest, what they're doing right now, and I believe it's 26-7.
Yeah, they're game under.
I was going to say, I was like, I don't think they're 500. So they're a game under. They're actually shocked that they got to a hot start as much as they did. So like, it is really interesting to hear people complain and be like, I want the owner to sell the team. We don't have this. Oh, great. We don't have a farm system to come up and bring up young players like the ones. I'm gonna say this, and I don't know if Homie has a name yet, or a nickname yet, but Bazana, is that the dude's name?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to coin it here, Bizarro. Yes.
What might get in the way of that, and I don't know if you know this, again, being out of market, he's from Brisbane, Australia. So we're getting a lot of Crocodile Dundee. We're getting a lot of Men at Work. We're getting a lot of Now That's a Knife, that kind of stuff. Foster's Australian for beer, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so I wonder how long it will be until we have Foster's in the stadium, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll see. But like, I will say this: he's playing in Cleveland. Cleveland is also the home of the Metropolis
Meteors.
Bizarro Superband. Come on, let's just do it. Let's coin them Bizarro. There we go. But when it comes to the Twins, man, I mean, they're doing better than what they thought, and they're a game under. So there's not a lot of hope for the Twins.
Well, you guys gutted that bullpen last year at the trade deadline. I know they're facing the same kind of issues the Guardians were with the TV deal going away and kind of being homeless on television, not getting any money for it, really. So, yeah, it seems like the Guardians have kind of handled that whole infrastructure. And you got Ross Atkins up there. He used to be with the Guardians. He's running he's your GM up there right now. Yeah, it just seems like the organization is just a little more weak right now than the Guardians.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
that's for sure. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, what is Moon? You kind of brought up the White Sox and like, hey, we'll see what's happening in like a month or two or whatever. But like, that's the thing. Is there anybody else in the ALC that you're sitting there and going like,
no.
Yeah, so
no, Detroit just snapped an 8-game losing streak today. Right. The Royals are the Royals right now, and that's something that we actually are really aided by. And I'll say it as a Guardians fan, we are helped by the fact that we are in the Heartland division. And most of the time, and I know 2 years ago, we had 3 teams make it, 2 wild cards in the winter. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, we just kind of beat up on each other and don't have to deal with, maybe the Yankees, the Reds, like imagine being the Rays or the Orioles right now. Yeah, the Orioles are probably even a better bet. You have to handle Boston and New York. You got to handle the defending AL champion, and then you got to handle the best team in the league right now in Tampa. We don't have that. So we're the warm embrace of the American League Central helps us out a lot.
Yeah, you think about it, right? That's why my mind's been going towards, cool, the AL Central crown's nice. It's probably almost a formality at this point, as long as they keep taking care of business and the other teams keep playing the way they're playing and trending, and baseball is a game of trends. We got to focus about the American League. Like, yes, the Guardians have already made a move for Patrick Bailey. They probably have expended their big trade. That probably was their big trade, unless I'm fooled. I mean, I know there's some big names that might be on the market. There's all, in the deadline, do the Guardians give up the farm and really go all in, like go for broke?
That's never been their style.
Exactly. The last time I could think about them getting semi-close to going for broke was 2016 when they went out and got Andrew Miller, the talks of Jonathan Lucroy, looking to move multiple prospects for both those guys at the time, and only got the Miller deal done as he was the best reliever in baseball.
Don't forget about Brandon Geyer.
Yeah, you're right. But you think about it though, Robin and Jack. This is bigger than the AL Central this year. I'm not really worried about the AL Central. I think the Guardians can really lock it up. I said on primetime, I think they'll lock it up by July. I know that's a little egregious, but I think the way they're playing and the other teams are playing, they could have a 10, 12 game lead in this division. They got to look at, like you mentioned, Rob, Tampa Bay, New York, I want to say Oakland. They don't have a city, but the Athletics.
Sacramento,
yeah. You look at them, in these teams, that should be the main focus.
Well,
how can we beat these teams when it comes down to a 7-game series in October? That's where the Guardians' mindset should start to focus, and that's why. And I'll hand it back to you here in a moment, Rob. But you think about Ralphie Velasquez, he's in AAA. He could add a lot more.
Ringle too, catcher.
Yep. You think about those guys. Velasquez have been trying out in left field actually a little bit. He's a first baseman by trait. But
we got about 5 of those. That's the problem. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah. But Manzardo and Hoskins playing real well as a veteran. You think about it. But I think Velasquez could bring pop. You brought up Cooper Ingle. Bullpen wise, our guy Chad Bryan loves Cal Steven and has even suggested maybe just bringing him in as another arm. I'm a little against it because he's a starter again, naturally. So I don't know. Sometimes it's not the best move. Regardless, there's a lot of options this team has, and they have to move towards thinking. Their line of thinking needs to be towards how can we beat the rest of the American League, not how can we beat up on the rest of the AL Central.
Well, and the Cal Stevens and surplus starters bring up another point too, to bring up why this thing has worked the way it has been. I know we've talked a lot about the offense. Do you know how many teams in Major League Baseball have gone the entire season with using only 5 starting pitchers? They haven't scratched one pitcher yet all season.
In all of history of Major League Baseball?
No, in Major League Baseball this season up until right now, game 55.
I'm gonna say there's no other team besides the Guardians, probably.
It is the Guardians. That's it. We have had remarkably consistent and remarkably healthy starting pitching. Today was Parker Messick. Gavin Williams, he pitched a game that 4 hits, shutout ball over 8 innings. They won it on a pinch hitting home run. That was the only time in Cleveland baseball history, going all the way back to 2001, that Cleveland won a 1-0 game on a pinch hit home run. So this is where our starting staff is at. Cade Smith has actually made us forget about Emmanuel Clase. If the Browns could have replaced Baker Mayfield the way that the Guardians replaced Emmanuel Clase, we wouldn't be yelling about Baker anymore. So the pitching staff is one of the big ass reasons why we're here too. I don't know if we want to, go into the bullpen and go into any sort of depth on that when we talk about getting an offensive stick in here, or if we do want to go the prospect route on if it is Velasquez or if it is Cooper Ingle or even Juan Brito, somebody in that kind of realm there. But yeah, the Guardians, it looks to me anyway, are one key move away from turning this thing completely on its head and putting ourselves truly up with the other teams, who, by the way, other little fun stat here, the 3 lowest payrolls per division, the AL West is the A's. The AL Central is the Guardians. The AL East are the Rays. The first place teams in each of those divisions are the Rays, the Guardians, and the Athletics. So it's the 3 lowest payrolls right now at the top of each division. So we are really fucking up the idea for a salary cap.
Yeah, sure are. And you know what? I know we got to go to break here in just a moment. We got a lot more great stuff to talk about on the other side. My final point is this. Jak John, I know you're a busy guy. We haven't seen you in a minute here in Cleveland. But if this last 15 minutes or so hasn't got you excited to come check out a game with us at Progressive Field, I don't know what will, pal. We need to get back on TV like we were last time we were at the game, and we ended up on the commercial for the rest of the season. We need to get you back here to a game because this isn't us just selling you on the Guardians. This is, I got to be honest. And I know they had the 15.5 game comeback last year. I get it. And they've had some good teams and they've had some fun. In 23, they were in the playoffs and they made a run. In 24, I get it. I have not been excited about a team like this Guardians team since 2016.
Well, the young guys are hitting. That's why. That's really the big difference from this year to last year. The young guys are hitting. Yeah. The pitching's always been there. Jose's always been there. It's just the other guys are hitting. Okay.
Jack John's buying the Guardians tickets.
We do have to get you out here, man. We do we do. I don't know if you want to see the Twins play the Guardians or if you want to watch a fun team play the Guardians, but we can get you out here, no problem.
Oh, yeah. Believe you me, I will attempt everything in my power to get back. I always love coming back to Cleveland. And yes, it is actually funny you bring up that time we were on TV. Like, somebody at work came into my office and was like, yo, check this out. And it was some guy talking baseball and they're talking the Guards. And our stuff was like front and center. Like, there we are and some dude's thing. And I'm like, all right, yeah, that's great. I was like, I know they're making money off of our face.
Oh, yeah, bro. With a face as handsome as mine, they probably made a lot of money. Back to you, Rozycki.
Okay, yes. Well, on that note, we'll go to break here. By the way, too, the other, I know I've been throwing stats out, too. One of the reasons why this offense is doing well, do you know who leads the team in batting average and hits right now? The 9-hitter.
Wow.
It's Rocchio.
Wow.
He's having Rocchio's been here the whole season. And actually, and I'm sure we can get into this later on with Double A or with Jak John, whatever down the line. When Gabriel Arias comes back, I don't know where we're putting him at this rate. I mean, there's nobody on this team right now who I would say we need to demote him. Nor like Bo Naylor was that deal. Do we put down Halpin and just try to throw him out there in the outfield? But whatever. So we have a log jam right now of offensive players, which this time last year I would have been drunk if I said that to you straight up. But this is the main event on the Inside Edge Net. We will go to break. Let's come back here. We got NBA first team, second team, third team to talk about. There is one name that we have been very used to seeing on those lists for the last literal 22 years. That's not there. We'll get into that, and then we'll go over some news and notes. What's up?
I wonder who that could be.
I don't know. We'll see. It might be Irvin Magic Johnson. It could be Michael Jordan. We don't know, but yeah, we'll get into that. And we'll see if that's a right decision or not, too. And then also news and notes. And also with the NBA discussion, too, there is a commonality the last 5 or 6 years with the NBA MVP that we, as Americans, might be a little unsettled with. We'll get into all that last couple segments of the show. This is the main event on the Inside Edge Net. We got Eli Moon, no Double A, Jak John in instead. I am Rob Rozycki, and we'll be right back.
Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans dedicated to our favorite teams and to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and, well, everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to fanatics.com by using the QR code on your screen right now to celebrate your teams. That's fanatics.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Clean energy, bold flavors, and no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Clean energy, no jitters or crash. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. With over 15 flavors to choose from, you can't miss. Order Dubby Energy right now by using the QR code on your screen and use the promo code INSIDEEDGE10 to receive 10% off your order. Dubby Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Whether searching for a baseball autographed by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the web's leading source of authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and players. Not only will you find your next prized sports possession with ease thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, you'll have the satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the sportsmemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee. Go to sportsmemorabilia.com by using the QR code on your screen right now. Sportsmemorabilia.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Podcast Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Small business owners are superheroes, but nowadays running your business means doing so inside your shop and on social media. That's why you should make Omega Video Marketing your sidekick. With a decade of content creation experience, I create dynamic, informative, and fun videos for your specific social needs that will increase brand awareness, get you more followers, and keep your social pages and websites current and fresh. I offer flexible pricing and turn times and will work with you to understand your brand and your story. All of that comes from the heart. My award-winning expertise is just the cherry on top. So let's get connected. After all, your brand is the alpha and my expertise is the omega.
And welcome back to the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. We have Eli Moon, Jak John in for AA Anthony Alford, and I am Rob Rozycki, and we got two more segments left and still a whole lot to talk about. Thanks for sticking with us for the first hour and a half. We will try to do our best to get you out of here in two, but I'm not going to make any promises I'm not sure I can keep. But yes, we hit a lot of basketball in the first hour of the show. Brief break with the Guardians. Let's go back to basketball, but it's not angry Cavs basketball. We have the NBA, all NBA teams being released today. That was kind of the buzz of everything happening right before we went on the air, actually. NBA first team is SGA, Nikola Jokic. Victor Wembanyama, Luka Doncic, and Cade Cunningham. And throw that up there with the MVP of the league, which was, again, SGA. And we are looking at a bevy of foreign talent and a non-American talent. Is foreign a pejorative? Am I throwing a slur out there now when I say
be
foreign?
careful. Just be careful.
Okay, well, I mean, we could be like WCW back in the day. Instead of a foreign object, we could just use international object if you want.
Yes.
But yes, players that aren't from the States are dominating the first team. They're dominating the NBA race. And in years past, too, we could at least as Americans hang our hat on the fact that number 23 or number 6, depending on where he was playing, was going to be up there, too, LeBron James. Not only is he not on the first team, he's not on the second or third team. First time in 22 years that he is not on any one of those lists. What are your impressions with the All-NBA teams, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little frustrated that LeBron's not on there. I'm not going to flip over any tables or anything, but I'm a little frustrated because I think certain guys, especially when we're talking about, whatever you want to say, top 1, top 3, top 2, whatever. LeBron's in that top 3 discussion at worst. If you want to have the
Kareem not for nothing, but the Athletic has him in their second tier. And that's about 11, 12 deep right now. So, they have him outside the top 10.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's for some guys, and I'm probably going to get a lot of crap for this. I think you get a legacy kind of run, and LeBron's one of those guys where I think you just put him at least on third team because you know how much he means to that team. The moment he leaves the Los Angeles Lakers, if he does, that's a little speculation, but I think that's where he's leaning. The Lakers are going to hurt when he leaves. And I know they don't want to believe that in Tinseltown. They're going to hurt when he leaves. I see your face, Jak John, but again, at 41 years old this year, he averaged, he played 33.2 minutes per game, 20.9 points per game. Still had a 1.2 steals, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. I know it's not LeBron back in 2016 or 2018 even, but I think he deserved to be one of those teams. Now, I think it is cool for the league, however, that they have so much influx of, talent coming in. And that's kind of the problem where you run into. Do you give the legacy run to LeBron, or do you start giving some of these young guys their flowers as well early? And you mentioned, Rob, and I'll hand it over to Jak John here in a second, but you mentioned the international talent too. My other thought on that, just overarching, is, man, the league is absolutely smiling right now. Adam Silver, he's smiling. Everybody's smiling because the NFL is trying to do what the NBA has already done. And baseball has done a great job. Baseball's always been, I feel like, a worldwide sport with the World Baseball Classic and everything they've done in the past. But the NBA, the NBA Cares mission, remember that, with all the stuff going overseas to take care of people and, bringing the different leagues and doing the drafting international guys. They have consistently been vocal about being global, and this all NBA first team, 4 international guys and Cade Cunningham. You think about that. That's something the NBA is probably thrilled about because that means everything they've done to make the game worldwide has been achieved. And that's why the NFL is pushing 10, I think 8 to 10 international games this year. So,
and they eventually want every week to have an international game. That's exactly where the NFL wants to go.
And don't be surprised if, these other countries start picking up football more and more, and not to completely stray away from the original point, but picking up football more and more.
Hey, dude, the Eagles drafted a dude who never played football from Nigeria this year. So it's already started.
That's what I'm saying. But imagine, we own the draft rights to so-and-so, and we're going to bring him in as offensive lineman once he gets a little bit more, legs under him over here or whatever. Just I keep an eye on that. Now, back to the point, and I'll hand it back to Jak John. I'll box it up and tie a bow on and hand it over to Jak John. I'm shocked, honestly, a little bit about LeBron not being third team. I'm not going to say first team. I'm shocked about him not being on the third team. You look at the third team here. You got Tyrese Maxey, Jamal Murray, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Duren, and Chet Holmgren. You're telling me he didn't have a better year than Jalen Johnson? And I know Jalen Johnson had a good year, but you're telling me he didn't have a better year than Jalen Johnson or meant more to his team than him, Jamal Murray? I don't know. I'm having a tough time with that. Jak John, am I tripping again? I always like to vibe check with you since you're here with us. Am I tripping?
Are you tripping? I will say this. Probably not. But I will be tripping. And I'll say, thank goodness, should have happened 2 years ago. I'm cool with him not being on here. I can't wait for him to go on a podcast, drink some wine, and cry that he isn't on an all NBA team. That's going to be awesome.
Either that or it'll be a cryptic tweet.
Right. Yeah. No. And then he'll sit there and do this thing and whatever. But but I will. You saw me make a face. I will kick back on. LA's gonna is gonna care when he leaves. No, they're not, because he's already crying about it on podcasts that they are not coming and begging for him already. He's and hell, I'll make my biggest thing. Looking at first team, second team, third team. Okay, great. Congratulations on Donovan Mitchell for making second team. I'll give him that. Like that's cool. That's whatever. But the one that I just keep on coming back to, and the only person I've really been talking about this entire time, has been Wemby. Like, he is this good in his third year.
Yeah,
that's scary as hell. Like, Rob, you remember, I remember, Eli, you remember. LeBron wasn't touching this in his third year.
Yeah, I mean, this guy Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he's something. I mean, we could dive down that rabbit hole for a second. He is something that I've never seen in the NBA. I don't think any of us. I mean, maybe you guys. I know you're a tad bit older than me, and I'll say that very sparingly as I turn 30 in a few years, and I'm sure I'll get a bunch of jokes when I turn 30. But I just can't think of anybody close to this. Actually, Wembanyama, when he had that 41-point, 24 rebound game the other night, he was the only player besides Shaquille O'Neal in a playoff game to have that type of stat line. So 12 blocks in a playoff game earlier on this playoff run, if you didn't know who Victor Wembanyama was, if you've been living under a rock or you're just not the biggest basketball guy and you happen to flip on the playoffs and the Spurs are playing, you found out who your favorite player was. You hear the talk about, is he going to turn heel like every great wrestler? Are you going to turn heel and be the villain? And there's been a few moments where they tried to paint him to be the villain.
I think not agreed if he's the villain. Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I think Wembanyama is probably going to be the next great villain in the NBA. I think right now we all love Wemby, and I think soon, once he wins his first NBA championship, it could be this year. I think look, you saw what happened with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? I'm SGA fatigued out. I am tired on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and talking about how marvelous he is and how I heard on a podcast the other day, and I can't think of the name of the podcast, but it was with Brandon Jennings. Brandon Jennings, former Milwaukee Buck, had a flash in the pan career, had some big games, and then that was that.
Was most known for being late to the draft.
Yes. He said that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a top 3 point guard of all time. Of all time. So
I think he has the door is open for him to be able to walk through it, where you really can't count too many guys that 6-7 years in that it would be still open, but no, he ain't there yet. He's got to do a lot more.
And that's why I talked about this a little bit last week on the network on prime time, and I keep referring to that because it's a phenomenal show. You should listen tomorrow, Memorial Night, Memorial Day weekend, on Memorial Day. Chad and I will be with you 10 to 11. But I'll bring this to the table with the fellas here because I love both of them. I'm curious their thoughts. The NBA, guys, has been trying so hard to get ready for the next generation of stars because they've had this transition pretty much of power almost seamlessly over the last 20 years, right? You've had Jordan to Kobe, and then Kobe, kind of shared it for a moment with, Shaq and Duncan and those guys, but it was really Kobe, and then it was handed off to LeBron, and it was LeBron's league, and then Steph for a moment, but they've always had guys in the face of the league, on your commercials, people that are recognizable outside of the court.
Yeah, go back to Bird and Magic, yeah.
Exactly. And now, you think about it, Steph Curry's getting older, LeBron's getting older, Kevin Durant's getting older, Kawhi's hurt, doing random things off the court, and he's getting older.
He's playing
James Harden. Yes. Well, maybe we don't.
Allegedly.
Yeah. You see all these guys, James Harden getting older, Cavalier, he's getting older. So they're in a spot right now where they have to find their next star. And I think that's why with Shai, not to get away from the Wemby thing, but I think it's kind of parallel, is they're trying to make Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the next star of the league. He's back-to-back MVP. If he goes back and wins the finals MVP again, wins the finals, he'll be the first player, I believe, in NBA history. You can fact check me, but I think he'd be the first player in NBA history to be back-to-back MVP and back-to-back finals MVP, to do all that in the same year or back-to-back years. And the NBA is trying so hard to set him up to be the guy, and he's just not. He's not. It's like trying to sell Eli Moon on Diet Dr. Pepper. I'm a Dr. Pepper guy, okay? And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's Diet Dr. Pepper. You know what is Dr. Pepper in my eyes? Victor Wembanyama. He's a guy that the league has themselves set for the next 15 to 20 years. He's 22 years old at Jak John's point. 22 years old. If he would have won MVP this year, he would have been the first ever player in the same season and the youngest to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. It would have been remarkable. And I think the league's scared of that. We've seen voter fatigue, not only with these all NBA lists, but MVP and all that. But the league is in a great spot if they just recognize it. I think that's where I'm at. To your point, Jak John, I think Wembanyama is a star, a superstar, the face of the league. You can put him on every commercial. And to bring it back full circle, and then I'll hand off the baton to whoever, Victor Wembanyama is international. He's from France. This is everything the NBA could want and then some. This is like when they had Dirk and Dirk won the title and they ran with Dirk for a little bit. And they're like, dude, Dirk finally got that title. We can really push him. But it was later in his career. He's 22 years old. You see if you take care of your body, you could play to 40, 41. You could take care of yourself. He has another 20-something years potentially, That's where I'm at with it. I think the league is in an interesting spot where they're trying to determine who the next face of the league is. Is it Wemby? Is it Shea? He's 27, so, he's in his prime, but, we wonder, is it one of these other guys? Is it Evan Mobley? Okay, let's not get crazy. Rob, back to you.
By the way, Michael Jordan won the league MVP and finals MVP in 4 different years. 2 of those years were back-to-back. So, yeah,
okay.
When you're talking about Shea, though, and having one guy, and that would be the guy that you're comparing him to,
fair, yeah,
you're doing good. With the foreign influx of talent, I am all for it. I love the worldwide game. I think the game has changed for the better because of it. I think the European players are actually fundamentally more sound than your typical AAU prospect who gets told yes by his coach for 10 years. However, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, we're in a pretty nationalistic time right now outside of sports where people from other countries aren't exactly as welcomed with open arms as maybe they have been in years past. And that kind of troubles me with the growth of the NBA, where you do have a lot of American fans who, do think, agree with the guy that keeps on saying America first. That why aren't we having more and more, when Cade Cunningham is the only American representative on the first team, when James Harden, yes, that James Harden was the last MVP born in these here United States, and that was about 7 years ago. I'm worried that domestically they could have a problem, but worldwide, I think they're better than they've ever been.
I guess like my argument to that, like respectfully, is they didn't really have too much to say about baseball. Like baseball's top star right now is Shohei Ohtani, and he's not American, right? He's obviously an international guy. So I get your thought, Rob. I mean, it's definitely something to consider just in the times we live in. But I think this is beautiful and an escape. We talk all the time about how people can have an escape. And Jak, and I'll kind of pivot to you here for a moment. You think about people having an escape. The MLB, to a degree, is an escape. It's just a long season, so a lot of people have trouble getting into it. The pitch clock and all that is helping. I'll be honest, like I have people that have never watched a baseball game with me before that will sit and watch multiple baseball games with me in a same series because of the pitch clock and because of they're like, oh, it's fun now. They get to challenge like pitches. So whatever baseball's got to do to make it fun. I think the NBA is in a cool spot though, where it's an escape, and there's so much talent. You actually get to learn about like the different cultures and things like that. I think it's like the perfect league, and it's got. Let me be careful by saying the word perfect. There's a lot of things that are going to be discussed, the draft lottery thing and all that. But in terms of perfect in this sense, yeah. But perfect in this sense, Jak John and Rob, is the NBA is including everybody. They're going worldwide. And we're getting to see the best basketball players, not only in the United States, but around the world. And if that means France has the best basketball player in the NBA right now, and that means, Canada has a back-to-back MVP and whatever, then so be it. I think it's beautiful. And I know you're not necessarily disagreeing, Rob, but I just to hammer home that point, I just think it's a beautiful thing for the NBA. Jak John, have you been on Allie Rose Fragrances? Have you been on the InsideEdgeNetwork.com and looking at Allie Rose and Dubby? Have you been getting your candles and your energy?
Honestly, what do you think I'm looking at right now? You think I'm doing research? Absolutely not. I'm looking at candles.
I love it. But I mean, you think about it, right, Jak? And you're up there in Minnesota with Anthony Edwards, another guy who's to Rod's point, he is an American star. I mean, what is your take on these stars in the NBA level? I guess, just everything we've talked about thus far.
I'm going to say a lot of things right now, and it's going to make me sound super old. I hate the game of basketball now. I do. I don't like how it's played. I hate the three-pointer. It's because I could never figure out the three-point shot when I was playing. But I do believe 110% that the league, the NBA, is in the best spot that I've ever seen possibly ever. But you actually have teams. The era of the super team might be kind of dead and gone, just because of how, these, you're saying stars. Yes, teams have stars. Right? Wembanyama, Shea is a star. Joker, Luka, Cade Cunningham, they're stars. I get it, but man, like there's now teams built around them, and it's really interesting to see. It's in a really good spot. And when it comes to the world, Rob Moon, you're 100% right. It's such a beautiful thing to see. And it does kind of, because what is it? What's the number one thing you hear when somebody is disenfranchised with the NBA? Oh, I don't watch the NBA, but I really like NCAA because it's a team sport. The European ball, overseas ball, like that's very similar to what NCAA is talent wise. Maybe not, maybe so, but like it's a team. It's definitely more team oriented, team sports. I do think, and going back to our first topic, coaching matters now. It like legit matters. Well,
you're seeing teams that are completely, built differently than the super team era. Back when it was LeBron in Miami or Boston, and even the failed ones like, when Brooklyn tried it with Harden, and and although they tried it a couple times. But the idea is you put so much talent in the top three spots, and then you just, basically, go to Walmart and go on the bottom shelf and try to poke the holes in when possible. It's a huge top heavy kind of roster. Oklahoma City is not that. San Antonio, despite the fact that you got Wembanyama, is not that. Boston, I know they had a two-headed monster out there, for the last few years. They're not that. They're not built in the same way. And it is a much more of a team game. And one of the other complaints that we always had was that we knew before the season started, maybe one or two or three teams could win the title. You look at what's happened the last 7 years. We've had seven different title champions now in the last 7 years. Since Golden State went back to back, we haven't had a repeat champion yet. And if the Thunder do it, okay, they will have a back-to-back. But, you have San Antonio and New York who could very well do it right now. No, I'm not counting the Cavs. The NBA is more wide open than it's ever been. And the way that I think they're going to be kind of poising this for the next few years is you got Wembanyama versus SGA. You talk about, who should be the face of the league. They're in a rare spot that they're going to be playing each other in the playoffs more times than not every year. So they're going to be able to decide who the face of the league is going to be. In the case of Wemby, who, by the way, the Spurs did win by 21 tonight. He's eloquent. He knows he's already talked himself out of some very tough situations with the media when it comes down to being a foreigner in this country, when it comes down to the bigger real world things that are at play. And he has been, for a 22-year-old kid, pretty damn eloquent about the whole thing. So the NBA is in good hands. It's just going to be, can the game get ironed out? Can, the actual like tanking stuff and, and all that kind of the 65 game rule, all the crap that we're talking about around the game. Can that get fixed? That's going to be the question. That's going to be Adam Silver's job, along with this massive international expansion. But this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We got Eli Moon, Jak John in for AA. We have one more segment left. We'll go through some news and notes. I'm sure you all are aware of a horrible loss in NASCAR. We will definitely talk a little bit about Kyle Busch and then get into some other less heavy kind of stuff to finish out the show. But this is the main event on the Inside Edge Net. I'm Rob. We got Jak. We got Eli. And we'll be right back.
And we thank you for your support of the Inside Edge Network. And don't miss my show, Midnight Run, right here on the Inside Edge Network. You won't miss a single episode when you like and subscribe at Inside Edge Net.
Mosser Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Inside Edge Network's very own Ryan Mosser and his wife, Hallie. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northern Ohio but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more at MosserMomentsPhotography.com by using the QR code on your screen right now. MosserMomentsPhotography.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans dedicated to our favorite teams and to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and, well, everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to Fanatics.com by using the QR code on your screen right now to celebrate your teams. That's Fanatics.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
And welcome back to the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. Before we get into it, I just want to make a comment here. I got NBC's postgame on of the Western Conference Finals. T-Mac, McGrady wearing a perfect suit. Vince Carter looking perfect. Everybody on set looking perfect. Carmelo Anthony, green jumpsuit. Just a sweatsuit like, I don't give a shit. I got 4 gold medals. I'm just going to stand here.
Do you think Carmelo could probably – I think Carmelo could still probably put up 20. If he, got out there right now, he could probably still put up 20.
The one that I worry about is Jamal Crawford. I think right now he could play. But
yeah.
I don't know about 20, but I think if you could if you need a bucket or two, I think Anthony could still probably do it. But yeah, just Maria Taylor looking fine, everything great. But yeah, it's just Carmelo. I'm sure it's an expensive jumpsuit, but he is wearing something that Tony Soprano would probably be wearing.
Dude, I'll tell you this. I know we got to get the news and notes. My final. I would take Carmelo Anthony right now over Dean Wade. I'm just saying.
I don't know. Neither one. Well, I don't know. Melo wasn't known for his defense when he could play.
But he's more of a bucket. We need something. We need something.
Okay, that's where we are, everybody. That the Cavalier fan base is so desperate that we are willing to take Carmelo Anthony, who wasn't even known as a clutch performer when he played on this team, right? Well, we got James Harden, so it's basically the same thing. But yes, this is the what's up.
I was sorry. I was just gonna say we would see no movement. I'm bitching about ball movement. We would see iso ball for 4 straight quarters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why do we have a statue of Carmelo on the court? No, that's not a statue. Yeah, it's just not moving. But yeah, this is the main event on the Inside Edge Net. We got Eli Moon. I'm Rob Rozycki. Jak John in for Double A. He is taking a mental health respite in Chicago. I hope everything is going well. I hope he does not need bail money, and if he does, don't call us because we all broke. But yeah, we have some news and notes to kind of go through. And I know we've been joking around for most of the show, and we probably will after this too, but a very, very somber Indy 500 weekend, a very somber Brickyard 600 a little bit later on that day too. And we're talking about NASCAR and a lot of people outside of NASCAR mourning the death of Kyle Busch, passed away at 41 years old. As unexpected as one can get. He was basically ready to race on Monday and Tuesday, fell ill on Wednesday, and on Thursday they declared him dead. And the NASCAR community, the sports community in general, is just absolutely reeling from this loss.
Yeah, it's I'm not the biggest racing fan. Let me just clarify that because before I get into what I'm getting into, because a lot of people around me are bigger racing fans than myself. My cousin, still races every now and then, and he really was like the NASCAR guy. My cousins were like real big on NASCAR, Dale Earnhardt, and I was a big Jeff Gordon guy. If I had to root for somebody, I'd root for Jeff Gordon. But so I wasn't around NASCAR as much as typical race, like the big racing fans, right? Like your average, your common, like I'm gonna go watch every race. That wasn't me. And still, I knew the name Kyle Busch. I knew who Kyle Busch was. You knew the antics. I mean, heck, I remember when he walked up Joey Logano and swung on Joey Logano in the pit. And, they're out there swinging on each other. And, at the time, Kyle Busch caught a lot of heat for it because, that was his character. That was his, he was the real deal heel. Like, I actually saw an article from, and I saw an article from our guy, Style, on WSRR Radio. They do a great job over there. And he actually had a write-up about Kyle Busch being the last great heel of racing. And, you think of Pops and me, we're sitting here, Pop Moon and I were sitting talking over the weekend about, Dale Earnhardt, senior, not junior. And credit to junior, too. He had a great career, and he's done a lot for racing. But, he, senior was a heel. Everybody thinks of him now as like, yeah, we love Dale. But people did not like number 3 in that race car. And Kyle Busch kind of
were scared of number 3.
Exactly.
Like the Intimidator was a deserved nickname.
Yeah, and people embodied, Kyle Busch embodied the heel aspect of it. He's like, you know what?
Yeah, Tony Stewart type.
Yeah, and if somebody's got to bring eyes to it, I'll bring eyes to the sport. And that's something, first off, you can say about the professional he was. He made NASCAR relevant more in the modern era. I'm not going to say NASCAR hasn't been relevant over the years or the last 20, 30 years, but they've always needed somebody. In 40 to 50 cars racing, you need at least a few you can go, when he takes the helmet off, I know how that guy is. He's somebody I want to go in and tune in when he is in a race car for 500 laps. And Kyle Busch, whether you loved him or you hated him, he was that guy you would tune in and wonder what he was doing next, what he would say next. So that's what I would say on the professional level. Personally, obviously, I didn't know him. But what I will say is he impacted a lot of people around me. Some of my bros, their favorite racer was Kyle Busch. And it's just sad, man. It's sad. It's scary, right? Because I think of Papa Moon being 59, bro. We just celebrated his 59th birthday. And he dealt with some health concerns. I was telling you guys a little bit off air before we got on air just about his health concerns. And I'll let him share that on another episode of Real Talk with Papa Moon. That's his story to share. I'll let him share his story. But just the health concerns. And I get scared already. Like, I cherish every day with my mom and dad. Like every day, because you never know. And I think of what his son, and I the name slips me, I apologize, but his son, I believe he's 11 years old. And, he, during that moment of silence today, during the race in Gainbridge, his wife, Kyle Busch's wife, and his son, goodness gracious, I'm already an emotional person, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. That is something that will bring a grown man that's never cried before to tears. I mean, the fact that he's without his father now for the last run of his childhood to learn how to be a man. And his mom will do a great job. But there's nothing like a dad to teach how to be a man. And he'll never have that, unfortunately, again. And I feel for Mrs. Busch because she just seems like she was Kyle's rock. I've seen some interviews, surface after Kyle Busch's, passing. And she just seemed like she kept him together. Like she was his piece. And now she don't have that. She lost a piece of her. So my hearts go out to the Busch family, to NASCAR, to racing fans worldwide. This is a significant loss, fellas. This is very significant, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I just hate talking about death. I mean, I didn't know the guy personally, but he graced our TV screens every weekend, and I thank him for that. And rest in peace to him, and prayers to his family.
I know the reach for the sports are a little different, and maybe they have a little bit of a different audience. But this is NASCAR's version of Kobe Bryant.
And that's what I was thinking.
You have a young, and Kobe was at least retired. He was like, the Lakers weren't expecting him to show up for a game that day. That's what this was. He was full tilt. I mean, he won a Truck Series race this weekend, so he's been in the thick of it. This was the last thing anybody thought, like him missing a race was the last thing anybody thought of, let alone for this whole, situation. And then, you obviously the comparisons to, Kobe with the young kids, Kyle Busch's kid, I believe Brexton is his name, 11 years old. And I think what'll happen, and what makes me feel okay enough about his situation, I have a feeling what'll happen to Kobe's daughters will happen to him, where all of a sudden Pau Gasol kind of turned into a surrogate father. The teammates came in, and there was it takes a village kind of situation. So I am reasonably sure that there are going to be more than a number of drivers, people in the pit, people in the crew in general, that will be more than happy to keep an eye out and make sure the young one is in the right direction. So at least you have that. At least they have an economic base that they can work from. They're not going to be doing GoFundMes anytime soon. But yeah, this is, all that aside, when you talk about the loss itself, personally with the family, and then you also got to think about the team itself too. You got a lot of guys that were depending, their livelihood on him racing and him racing well and him winning races. That's now all up in the air. There's going to be a new driver there for a different car. It's not going to be the same number that he was doing. I think they're going to reserve that for his kid. But it's not going to be Kyle Busch. It's not going to be a person who is literally the winningest driver. If you want to throw in Cup, if you want to throw in the trucks, if you want to throw in all the circuits in between, he has more wins than anyone. Yeah. So, again, Kobe Bryant kind of esque with that, where a giant, somebody who is going to be an ambassador for the sport for the rest of his life, somebody who is going to be a presence around racing for the rest of his life for the next 30, 40 years probably, gone in the blink of an eye. And the cause of death, they did say, was pneumonia that turned into sepsis.
Yeah.
And as a lesson for anybody our age, not young guy, but not old guy out there yet, we power through a cold all the time. Like, I go to work, okay, I got the sniffles, I'm not feeling great. You just try to get through it because you don't have time for that bullshit.
Right.
That looks to be kind of this situation that he was dealing with. He was sick. I don't think he realized how sick he was and was just trying to power through it. And before anybody realized it, it was far too late. So, yeah, I'll always use that as a reminder, too, to keep up on your body, too, and to keep an idea on your health.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Any other thoughts, gentlemen, on this one?
Jak John, I know you have some thoughts. Yeah, you can go ahead. I have a few more. I want to hear what you had to say though. First.
I'll say this. I'm going to echo what Moon has said. The thing I kept on hearing. I watched a few races. It's a great comparison. He was a heel, especially early on. But you saw this dude mature and grow up, especially once he married Samantha, his wife, and he had his two children, Braxton, who's already doing the dirt racing stuff. They were talking about him already. So Rob, what you're saying, hey, people are looking out for him already. That's correct. I don't want to say bigger as if this is a competition, but the one that my heart goes out to is the four-year-old daughter, Lennox. That's tough.
She's really not going to have any deep, rich memories of dad at that rate. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that's horrible. That sucks. Yeah, no. I mean, the only thing I can say, I think the only thing anybody can say is just, rest in peace. You did good, kid. Enjoy. Just enjoy the time you got.
Yeah. Jack, you brought up, I think you had mentioned, the Richard Childress racing, that who Kyle Busch was under, is gonna hold on to number 8. They're gonna suspend the use of it indefinitely in the NASCAR Cup Series. They're gonna hold it on to it for Braxton. And they said until he's ready to go NASCAR racing. So they're gonna make sure nobody has number 8 until it is another Busch, and it's Kyle Busch's son. The other guy we haven't mentioned, and then I'll hand it back to you, Rob, is Kurt Busch, his brother, who's a retired NASCAR driver as well, 47 years old. Imagine, dude, this stuff gets me emotional because it's I have a younger brother who's 24, bro. That we're almost the same age difference as Kyle and Kurt Busch. This is a dude who's waiting for Kyle to finish his racing career. He's probably on the last little run of it. And they're going to go drink beer and do whatever they want to do for the rest of their lives. And now he's, they showed him at the funeral, and they showed him after, during laying down 8 flowers in Charlotte infield. I'm just seeing the story from Yahoo Sports. I mean, imagine everybody's, his son, his daughter, his wife. And I think about his brother too. His brother was probably planning on growing old with him. I mean, they're in that age where they could have grown old together, and talked about all the fun. Kurt, a Daytona 500 winner in his own right as well. They could have shared a lot of great memories. And Yeah, unfortunately, they're just memories.
What's the point of doing cool stuff in your 20s and 30s if you can't tell stories in your 40s, 50s, and 60s?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I feel for Kurt. I feel for Kyle's wife, the kids, Brexton and Lennox, and I feel for NASCAR. This is a big loss. And
we'll move to something else here in a few seconds. But that's something too that went. And by the way, you were not watching the funeral. You were watching the Coca-Cola 600.
Right.
That's how devastated this community is. And you bring up the old drivers from days gone by. If it is the Earnhardts or if it is Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, those kind of guys, even all the way back to like Cale Yarborough and Bobby Allison and Mario Andretti. Where NASCAR is going to have to be worried when the dust settles on this is who is next. We don't what you got Joey Logano, but you don't really have a lot of household names. I don't know anything about NASCAR, but I ripped those 8 names off of drivers. I could probably name about 3 or 4 more, but I'm not the big, again, like you guys, I'm not desperately into NASCAR like a lot of people are. Who's going to be the next mainstream guy? Who's going to be the next celebrity? Who's going to be the next, we were talking about Wemby, face of the sport? And there's not a whole, there's not a lot known. I mean, it's wide open. Anybody can take it. But if I'm NASCAR from a marketing standpoint, from a money-making standpoint, one of my biggest meal tickets is no longer here anymore. And we're going to have to figure out plan B.
Yeah. It's, you wonder, Rob, I'm not the biggest racing guy either. Like to your point, I can't think of the guy's name, but there's, I think, a younger kid racing right now. Like
that's the point. The names aren't there.
That's what I'm saying. You could think of like Denny Hamlin, maybe. You mentioned Logano. You think of some of those guys, but yeah, NASCAR. I guess to sum up, I think what we're all saying here, a big loss personally for his family and everybody around, and emotionally for NASCAR, and also in terms of where the sport goes from here. It's a big loss. It's where do we do? What do we go from here?
Well. And I know it's not NASCAR, but we still had a racing weekend to deal with. The biggest racing weekend pretty much of the year. We had the Indianapolis 500 take place. And then, of course, the Coca-Cola 600, what we were talking about in Charlotte. I guess one nice thing for racing right now is you got a headline that isn't this that's going to be dominating SportsCenter tomorrow. And it's all because of Felix Rosenqvist, I think is how you say his there's a Q and a V in there. I don't know.
Quist.
Quist. Sure. Okay. But he won the Indianapolis 500, and he did it by the shortest margin in the race's history. I believe it was 0.0233 seconds, which is probably about 6 inches when you're racing at 200 miles an hour. Probably one of the best finishes we ever had for this particular race, and this race has been a long time. But at least they got that. At least they have some positive. And again, I know there's a difference before anybody texts and goes in about messages. I know that's IndyCar and NASCAR is 2 different things, but I mean, IndyCar was also mourning this loss too. So this is an entire racing-wide thing. But at least the Indianapolis 500 gave us a little bit of joy today.
Yeah, and our one and only Jak John, who's joining us here throughout this show tonight, he brought this to both of our attention. I had seen a little bit of it. I was handling a few other responsibilities this afternoon, so I didn't get a chance to watch the race. But Jak, I gotta be honest, pal. There's a lot of things I think I could probably do. This, not so much. And these guys are flying, like super fast, like fast, like they don't really have any exterior of the car. They're kind of like, I mean, that's like my best interpretation. It's nuts. And I think this is cool for the race. I'm curious your thoughts, but I think this is cool, like the finish. The Swedish guy getting the victory. I'm not going to try to attempt his name here at 11 o'clock at night because Rob did all right of a job. It kind of reminded me of like Stewie and Brian and Family Guy when they're like, cool whip, cool flip. All right. So, I just think it's cool, Jak. What were your thoughts, man? I'm curious more of your thoughts on this Indy 500. Just overall, like the cool factor for me is that it's something different to Rob's point. They're different leagues and they're entirely different. NASCAR, there's a little bit more bumping and, trying to find that positioning and all that. Indy 500, they are flying. It's like I just loaded up a bunch of remote control cars and they're just running around the track. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Indy 500, I mean, that it's huge, but like at the end of the day, even talking with what Rob has brought to light and what you have brought to light is just it. And unfortunately, a spotlight is on the racing world with Busch's unfortunate passing. Man, way to kind of take advantage of that with a hell of a finish with the Indy 500, because I am going to be so interested to see what are the numbers on the Indy 500 this year, because I guarantee there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to sit there and be like, hey, you know what? I'll watch because it's racing and because Busch unfortunately just passed and everything else. So I'll be so interested in that. Because again, like you said, like you didn't know, like, oh, there's like different leagues and different this, that, going back with Busch for a little bit, like the cool thing with him, like he raced everything. Like he did straight up, here's the NASCAR stuff. He did the trucks. I was going to say he did some dirt track stuff, which that's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, it's a sad week for racing, but man, I think it's gonna have a little bit of a boost because of it.
Yeah, and Rob, I'm gonna hand the baton back off to you to add on to Jak John's point. We just talked about international with the NBA. Like we're literally talking about a guy from Sweden winning the Indy 500, and this isn't the first time an international star has been like born or come to light in front of our eyes in the Indy 500. There's a lot of that. And I guess if you're looking for an international taste in the racing world, Indy 500 is like where you would go, or in IndyCar in general, I should say.
Well, yeah, because you do have F1, and that is truly global, but not a lot of people have money to go to Monte Carlo and watch races. So, IndyCar is going to be where you go in this country for sure.
Yeah.
By the way, too, real quick, I do want to shout out Catherine Legge. She tried to do the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600, which is 1,100 miles of racing in one day. 6 drivers have tried it. Only one has completed it. Tony Stewart did it about 15 years ago. She tried to do it, but it ended pretty quickly. She crashed pretty quickly into the Indy 500. So she would have been obviously the first woman. She's the first woman to try it. She would have been obviously the first woman to complete it. But shout out on that one. You want to talk about diversity? That's one thing racing has that the other ones don't have, is that this is something that men and women can compete shoulder to shoulder in. So, we had Danica Patrick. We've had a few other women drivers. So there are girls out there that can dream big just like the boys. So at least they have that going that the NBA and pretty much any other sport doesn't have.
Absolutely. No, I love it. And Danica Patrick, man, she used to get a lot of hate. Unjustly, I don't think.
There were drivers bitching about how she had an advantage because she was 110 pounds and the other drivers were 100, 150, 67, whatever a NASCAR driver weighs. They were saying since she's a little girl, she had an advantage.
Well, lay off the beer skis then, buddy. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, actually, dude, you ever meet a NASCAR driver? A few, they are all little guys because they got to fit in those cars. And any pound that they have on them is the car. The car is going to have to take that around the track too. So, they are really that worried about stuff. But this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. We got Jak John in for AA. We have Eli Moon and myself, Rob Rozycki. Speaking of diversity, I do, and women's sports. I do like the fact that Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano proved that they can work a fight just like anybody else, just like the men, and that you don't need a booker and you don't need a script. You just need 2 people that are looking at each other going, all right, 15 seconds till payday, ding, ding, ding. We had the Netflix MMA card with MVP. What is it? It's MVP.
Yep, MVP. Yep.
He put up a MMA card on Netflix. The headlining bout, I don't know if it was the main event, but the headlining bout was the women's bout I just talked about. Ended in 15 seconds. Ronda Rousey, who hadn't fought in 10 years, tapped out Gina Carano in 15 seconds. Carano hadn't fought in 17 years and had to lose 100 pounds to be able to compete. And here we are with an MMA card. Eli, you're the one who deals with the, as John McCain put it, the human cockfighting.
Whoa, pal.
What say you? I'm just quoting the former senator from Arizona.
Yes, and yeah, I mean,
Who was wrong, but
yeah,
I'm just quoting him.
easy, pal. All right, so a quick math here. I did the math on this after the Gina Carano Ronda Rousey fight. Gina Carano got paid. It was a little over $1 million. But I was going to put $1 million here for easy math for myself. 15 seconds, $1 million was her purse. She made $66,666.66 every second she was in that octagon or hexagon, whatever it was. I don't think they could use the octagon because of the UFC, but with Ronda Rousey. Now, okay, I'm glad you kicked it to me first. I almost wish Jak John would go. Jak John, do you want to go first? I got some thoughts. Do you want to go first? I'm Rozycki
Sure.
I have been doing so well this show. We haven't really argued. We haven't got into any
God,
debate.
Jak, you have just been dragging ass this entire time.
And you've been shopping on our website the entire show, which we appreciate you. But do it after. No, Jak, what are your thoughts? Because I got some thoughts here besides the salary Gina Carano just made in 15 seconds.
Well, I mean, but that's my thoughts on it. It is, look, it's typical. It's typical UFC. It's typical combat sports stuff. If you're looking forward to something, guess what? It's going to be 15 seconds, and that's about it. Your best fights are going to be on the undercard. Your best fights are going to be before main events. That's just what it is. That's how it's always typically been. The thing that I'm most interested in is the business side behind it. What guaranteed money. What is that going to do? What is that going to force UFC, TKO to do? Is there a marriage between Netflix and whatever the heck circus the Paul brothers are doing, or one of the Paul brothers are doing, like, which I'm cool with. I enjoyed like being like, oh, okay, cool. I can like flip this on Netflix real quick, and there it is. The fight, I mean, Rozycki brought it up, like had to like drop a stupid amount of weight to get this fight in. And I was like, oh, okay, so she's just going to win with an arm bar in the first round. I didn't think it was going to be 15 seconds, but like even hell, you watch I mean, I'll give Ronda this. Like you watch the entrances and stuff like that, you knew she was on some sort of demon time. She was like, I'm here to get paid. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
Well, did you even see CM Punk? He was in the gallery for all that. He was doing an interview. Even though he's a TKO employee, which I wonder how that went. But he was in the crowd for that. He was doing an interview with somebody, and right when Ronda was coming down, he actually said into the camera, "Tell AJ I'll be home in 20 minutes." He knew what the hell was about to happen, and the entrances hadn't even really started yet. And he's like, "Yeah, we're not going to be here all that long."
Yeah, and you wonder, right? And CM Punk, the only reason I can make sense of that, Rozycki, of him being on screen is because of Netflix and Raw being on Netflix. They get the plug for the Netflix thing, so it gets a little muddy, though, right? That gets business-wise, it's a little muddy, like because TKO
it's also
and MVP,
CM Punk.
Yeah,
is that not the most CM Punk thing to do? But also, maybe that's part of working everybody and all that stuff. Ooh, all that.
Yeah, and while we're speaking of Chicago, I sure hope AA took Rob's advice. And AA, we miss you. We can't wait to have you back. Midnight Run tomorrow, Memorial Night weekend, weekday celebration at midnight here on the Inside Edge Network tomorrow. So make sure he is returning. AA is back. He's typing up the same letter that Michael Jordan did. He's sending it into the network right now as we speak. But I hope he took up the Mindy's. I hope he looked at Mindy's Bakery like CM Punk. I hope he did that. Now, back to Rousey and Carano for a second. There's some highlights and there's some lowlights. Okay. If you're a casual combat fan, you tuned in and you said, you know what, I've never watched, many of these fighters, whatever. I'm going to just tune in because it's on Netflix. I already paid for the subscription. I'm just going to watch because it's on and it's the weekend and I need something to do. Okay, perfect. Maybe do a little homework, though. Anybody disappointed that Ronda Rousey ended this fight in 15 seconds? Shayna Baszler, one of the 4 horsewomen of MMA with Ronda Rousey, mentioned you could literally put together about 8 to 10 of her wins, and they're under 10 minutes, under 5 minutes probably. I mean, she was whooping behind, for lack of better term. I think I've used my swear words for the day, so I think I'm going to stop. But she was just kicking behind for everything, right? For like a stretch, like almost a decade, right? I mean, she was the face of not only women's MMA, but MMA at a time. You think about it, and you think she was jockeying with John Jones and Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre. He was ending his run. She's swinging in. Anybody that hasn't watched a Ronda Rousey fight, I just wish they would have did a little research and known that this is just what she does. And yes, you can. I'm not going to disagree with you, Rozycki. The card or the odds were already stacked against Gina Carano, right? I mean, she has to lose all this weight to come in. She hasn't fought in 17 years, and you're fighting one of the best MMA women's fighter, best MMA fighter. Let's not even say women, best MMA fighter of all time. I mean, before the elevation or evolution of women's MMA, where Ronda Rousey even found out that Amanda Nunes hits pretty hard. And Holly Holm, yeah, she's a mixed martial artist. She's not just going to take you to the ground and put her in an armbar. But Ronda Rousey, I mean, this is what she does. This is what she did. That's why she got paid another $2 million guaranteed. And I think the bigger thing, though, is this. This is my strongest point of this card. It's not even Rousey and Carano. Yes, they got paid. Yes, the fight was a dud, whatever. Did you notice that some of these guys on the card have that name value, but they're not 50-something years old? I get it. Junior Dos Santos, I believe, was on the undercard. He was the first fight on that main card. And he got rocked by an up-and-comer. And then you saw later on in the night, you had Nate Diaz and Mike Perry for all the crazies out there. They just want to see those two swing in. And it was a little underwhelming, but you had marquee stuff. The big thing, and this is my final point here, is Francis Ngannou was on that card for Rousey Carano. Now, anybody who isn't hip to Francis Ngannou, he hits like a freight truck. I mean, I'm going to be honest, pull the curtain back for a moment. I've covered a few UFC events in my time here in broadcasting. One of those being when Francis Ngannou hit Alistair Overeem right in the face, and it was one of the scariest knockouts of all time. You think about this guy. He was at the top of his game, the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, and he stepped away from the UFC because of contract disputes, which is interesting now that he's over doing this with Netflix and everything, and make sure he gets his money. And they're talking about a business partnership potentially with Jake Paul. That's all interesting to me. You think about that, and you think about the fact that John Jones was there at the commentary, not the commentary desk, but up top at the desk, while he's doing his post-fight, talking about, hey, let's get John Jones and Ngannou. He's like, yeah, I'd love to fight him. John Jones still in the contract, I believe, with the UFC, trying to figure out what's going on. It was a mess with him and Tom Aspinall, the eye injury with Tom Aspinall. They were supposed to fight, then they weren't going to fight, then they were going to fight, then whatever. I think there's a possibility John Jones never fights a UFC fight again, but he will fight an MMA fight. It'll be with MVP Promotions. It'll be with Netflix. It'll be on Netflix, and it'll be against Francis Ngannou. That is the most must-watch fight you can book in MMA, not just UFC, not Bellator, not PFL. That is the most must-watch fight you can book, because at the top of his game right now is Francis Ngannou, who would still probably be the UFC heavyweight champion. The only guy that could beat him probably is Alex Pereira, and Pereira would have to move up to heavyweight to fight him. Ngannou versus one of, if not the greatest fighter of all time, off the, outside of the octagon aside, one of the best fighters of all time in John Jones. That is something, Rob and Jack. I almost said double A. Yeah, hey, Jack. This is something where, okay, you can be a little critical of the card and stuff, but if MVP Promotions, their next card or a few cards from now, roll out Ngannou versus John Jones in the main event, they can't, first off, they can't have it where it's, the speculation of, is it a work? Is it a shoot? They can't have that. These guys are literally two of the best fighters of all time. So you're going, in my opinion, to get a quality match, a fight. You're going to get two of the best, if not, two of the greatest fighters of all time, for lack of better words. That's what you're going to get. And you could stack that card with other guys. And this is my last thing. Don't be surprised if you see other fighters jump ship. With the guaranteed money, as Jak John brought up, you see all this. The fact that you're still spotlighted on Netflix, you're seeing what it's doing for Monday Night Raw and all these other things that are going to Netflix. Why wouldn't they do that? Especially when we've talked about on this show, Rozycki, the UFC is not trying to create stars. So why wouldn't stars go be stars where they're going to be appreciated more?
Well, and I think, the Netflix comparison is there maybe not for Raw, but think a little outside the box. Compare these fighters to comedians. Look at Netflix as a joke. Look at that comedy festival they do every year. Look at all the comedy specials they have. They look at the comics and say, come here, we will pay you. Mm-hmm. It is that simple. Tony Hinchcliffe on down. If it's, Nikki Glazer, Bill Burr, they had so many comics in LA for that festival that some of these A-list comedians were playing shows to third of a house because there was not simply enough people to occupy all of the comedy shows around town. So they have the money to do it. And especially when they're dealing with Dana White, who I think has perversely gets off on underpaying his fighters and treating his employees like shit. You got one entity that has no problem paying people. You're right. I think a lot of people are going to jump on over. And this is a perfect deal for Netflix. If you notice the way they've kind of jumped into live sports, they don't want the Sunday contract for the NFL. They don't want a full-time deal with the NBA doing, nights, games 2 nights a week all season. They want the Christmas Day game. They want, maybe an NBA opener. They want a couple of single events here and there, and MVP promotions, any fight promoter, that's what you would be giving Netflix. Okay, if I'm the Pauls, we'll sign a deal with you for 3 cards over the next year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to worry about the rigors of day in, day out. We got to get these games up. We got to get these games down. We got to make sure it doesn't crash. We got to make sure all these guys and the talent are paid. They like to do the one-off things. You think about what they had, the dude climbing the building in UAE. Right. That's the kind of stuff they think of, like the ABC Wide World stuff. You would have seen MMA on ABC Wide World of Sports 30 years ago. That's, you saw Olympic boxing on it. It was the same basic thing. So, I think it's a perfect thing for Netflix to get into. And it's perfect for the fighters because even if you don't jump ship, you saw it happen with AEW and WWE, and WCW back in the day. Having a competitor there and having more than one person requesting your services drives the value up for everybody. You need that competition in there. And while Dana was the only show in town on a national level, that might not be the case anymore. Maybe they might talk about a weekly TV thing down the line. Maybe they might do something. But for right now, sticking with these one-off cards every year or so might be the way to go for these guys. And I think with the Rousey fight in general, I think Ronda fucked her credibility up. I think Carano fucked up her credibility. I don't think anybody's going to want to see anything those two ever want to do again. I don't think it's the Paul promotion that's going to get that hit. I don't think it's Netflix. I think, the fact that I really think it was something as simple as, Ronda called up her mentor and friend and said, hey, I think I might have a way that we can get a quick payday from Netflix. We'll get this ready to go when we get into the damn ring. We don't have to tell anybody. I'll just put you in an arm bar. If you want to have a little fun, see how long it takes for me to put you in an arm bar. But we'll just get you in and out real quick. We'll play kissy face and we'll get paid. I think they screwed themselves up professionally. And for Gina Carano, with her history and getting screwed professionally, screwing herself even more professionally is saying something. But I think those two girls are probably done when it comes down to being in the public eye. And hopefully, Paul, his credibility as a promoter will not be messed with. And also, too, he's probably going to come back as a fighter at some point in time. So he's going to have at least one more payday on these cards. So people are going to be, tuning into this pretty good. And one more point on this, you talk about the Netflix idea of it. You don't have to drop 60 on a pay-per-view. You don't even have to drop, $20 on ESPN Plus or anything. If you get Netflix, you get it. So you do have the eyeballs there. So I think that is when I see a shit fight with the two women, I can deal with that because I hadn't paid $80 for this card. So exactly. There is a little bit of you get what you pay for there.
Yeah. Jack, you got any thoughts, any other thoughts on this Carano Rousey?
Well, I mean, I will definitely, I will echo what Moon said, where it's just like, I don't think Carano, what was it? 12, 15 years? What?
17 years.
17 years.
Yeah, Eli was a fetus the last time she fought. Yes.
I was going to say, my God. Yeah, no, freaking. Of course it went like that. I don't know if it was a
work.
I don't think it was a work. I'll say that. I mean, Ronda, like I said, Ronda looked like a demon, and she was a damn demon when she could bully an entire.
The thing is, like,
thing.
that fight didn't go, even though it was quick, it didn't go with, Ronda is normally like a bull in a china shop. She overwhelms the opponent like Tyson, and they're down. This was a little bit more of getting in, like, it was a little bit less contact before the armbar hit, but I digress.
Sure. But I will kick back on that just by saying you're sure maybe there wasn't like the movie boom, 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 but it was 15 seconds. I don't know how, like, she wasn't freaking Batman and like smoke bomb and then got behind her and choked her out. Like, it was a rush, boom, down, tackle, arm.
That'd be Danhausen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is Danhausen. No, you are right. But going back to the Netflix thing, I mean, you just saying that like just popped off a whole bunch of ideas where you're like, I don't think they want to be like every week you're doing something. I don't like, let me pitch this. And we talked a little tiny bit, we mentioned it, and that was, look, the NFL wants overseas games. They're going to sell those rights to stream. That is going to be a stream game. They're going to treat that like a Thursday night game, the Christmas Day games and everything else. Why not be on Netflix? Why not give it somewhere like that?
They've handled foreign rights before. They've handled overseas. Yes. I think AEW. I think there's been some NFL and WWE themselves. Yeah,
I was gonna say, because WWE foreign is you get live Raw like the United States, but they get live SmackDown too, and they get the live pay-per-views.
Yeah,
and so I mean, it's wild. I'll be so interested to see what Netflix footing is in the sports world, because continually talking about wrestling, what was the reason, or everybody's saying, what's the reason that Pat McAfee jumped in? Oh, it's so he can get a better deal with Netflix when his show gets brought up. So if that's the case, they're gonna have live broadcasting every single day.
Yeah.
Oh, they're already starting podcasting. They're already starting that kind of stuff up. So
I think they already did too. Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I'll be very interested to see what Netflix is in the next 20 years. How involved is Netflix in sport?
Yeah, and I think they want it. And yeah, what you said before, I think it is dead on. They don't want the burden of having to put 162 baseball games up, or a Sunday slate of NFL every week, or even a Monday night game every week. They want they have Christmas Day. They have their events.
Did they have Christmas Day and then they had
Do they have a Black Friday too? No, that's Amazon still.
That's Amazon.
They got another one in
conference? There. They had play-in. They had the play-in stuff. But don't they have the All-Star game for baseball this year?
Yeah, and they had the season opener too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they did. That's how I watched the season. I was like, I watched the season opener. How did I do that?
And that's how we know you watch Guardians baseball every now and then.
Netflix now will have they will have a week 1 international game. They will have a Thanksgiving game and 2 Christmas Day games. So yeah, they have their holiday events. They have 5 games to worry about, which is a whole lot cheaper to staff than the entire season. So yeah, and they've handled it pretty well. I know early on, I think it was the Tyson Paul fight. They had some streaming issues, but after that, they really haven't had a problem.
Yeah,
and I think they asked Triple H over at TKO, what do you have to say about their them crashing at like 60 million views? And he said something like, I'd like to have the 60 million views to see if we would hold up. So yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Crazy. I know we got a couple more stories, Rob. I will say this. Last thing is petty behavior by the UFC to release Conor McGregor's return against Max Holloway in the middle of Francis Ngannou's walkout.
Well, and that's not helping Dana White, man. I think, you look maybe 10 years from now, Dana White may not be as powerful. He might be rich, but, the dude is straight up combative with the media. I mean, he does not give a shit about his fighters. Like maybe 1 or 2 out there he'll give because they're a good cash cow. Maybe Conor McGregor, and that's going to be about it. Or if it is a Bones Jones when he's involved, whatever. But by and large, he don't give a shit if you drop dead 10 seconds after that fight. He doesn't care if we pay you. He doesn't care about, really the way his sport is perceived. His lips are currently wrapped around the phallus of Donald Trump at this point. Like, they're having the MMA card next month there on Trump's birthday for America 250. I'm calling it UFC 1776. So I think combined with the public persona of Dana White with the fighters and the fact, too, that there's going to be a point in time where associating with the current president isn't cool anymore and isn't accepted anymore. There's going to be people that, that he's going to be tied to for the rest of everybody's life. Dana White might be one of them. I see Dana White's empire crumbling pretty sooner than later, for sure. All right, this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Net. Do we don't want to do one more story, or do we want to get out of here, gentlemen? Because we have college football expansion. We can hit that real quick and then be on our merry way.
Jak John, if you give us, you gotta give us double thumbs. I saw one, but that was like double. Oh, all right, Rob, we gotta do it. One more.
All right. Well, it looks like we're going to have a much bigger college football playoff. 24 teams now will be the number, if I'm correct, at least as of right now. If we talk next year, it might be 64, just like the basketball team. Oops, hit the table there. But yeah, I'd love to do this live while moving here.
Rob, I'm going to bring you down for a second, pal. Oh,
yeah, but 24 teams for the playoff. And it seems like nobody is happy with this unless you're Jimmy Pitaro over at ESPN and you're the one making the money off the 23 playoff games your network just has acquired.
Rob, then I guess make me number 2 happy about it because I'm thrilled. I'm so excited for this. This is
what,
amazing.
Are you thrilled now that Michigan State finally has a chance of getting into the playoff?
Okay, so I got to be a little careful with Michigan State. I still rock with them, but my little brother's literally an Ohio State Buckeye. I have to be a little I gotta have a soft spot for the Buckeyes. So,
well, you would think though, with 24 teams, if the Buckeyes don't make the playoffs, the head coach gets fired. I would think that's about as easy as that is ever going to be, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Michigan the same way, like Alabama the same way, Georgia. If you can't be one of the top 24, then what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, coaches will be going left and right a little bit more, a little quicker if they can't get into that.
Oh God, they're going quick now.
Yeah, so imagine expedited process. I think this is exciting. AA and I guess we're in the same boat, in terms of very excited about this. I think who's going to complain about more football? Okay, are we going to have a few more blowouts? Probably. Are we also going to get some games that maybe are whoa? Because nobody saw the Miami Hurricanes beating Ohio State and going on that run to get to where they were. Nobody saw it. I mean, maybe a few, that preyed on the Buckeyes' demise, but a lot of people did not see that happening. You see Ole Miss making a run after Lane Kiffin, leaving them. You see all of this, and I just think this is exciting. Yes, you're still going to have your butt whoopings on the first round, but you might get a game or two that is wow, okay, let's tune in and whatever. I'm not going to be mad about more football, I guess is my whole take on it. Yes, at the end of the day, you're going to get to your final 2, and that's what it's about. This doesn't make it more difficult to figure out who the final 2 are. If anything, it just makes it more of a challenge to get to where you got to get to. Makes it the road a little tougher.
It makes it harder for the final 2 to be the final 2.
Yes.
So you do have a bigger chance of a lower team winning, and maybe not so much the best team doesn't always win.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, Rob, but to that point, we're talking about the NBA playoffs. The New York Knicks are the 3rd seed. They're going to probably be in the NBA Finals, and we're sitting here as Cleveland's digital leader telling you that. But we see a 3rd seed, in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, and going on, 3 versus 4, and you're going to see one of those and probably the 3 seed go on. And, I think that's what makes it fun. One of my favorite stories, and not to pivot to NBA for a minute, but one of my favorite stories growing up, was when the Golden State Warriors, the We Believe Warriors, with Baron Davis and Monte Ellis, I believe, was on that squad. And you think about those guys, and my goodness, I think David West, I believe, was on that Golden State. He may have been too soon with David West, but I think David West was on that team too. Regardless, 8-over-1, bro. That's what we live for as sports fans. Is those types of matchups. Am I saying we're gonna get in the 24 playoffs? So what? Probably the first 4 probably get a bye, and you probably get 10 matchups. I don't know how they'd work it out. Okay, let's just say there's 10 matchups in the first round, right? If 8 of them are but I get 2 good ones, I'm a happy camper because I got to watch football all weekend. I didn't have anybody, telling me I didn't have plans, even though I'm always busy regardless. Now I have extra plans. I have football to watch. And it gets you to the point of the best two teams will win. Is that the number 1 and 2 ranked? Maybe not. But that also draws a point to don't always just buy the rankings. We don't want the opposite of all this. We don't want to go back to the BCS days, right? Of 2 teams, and you're sitting here like, well, we were the 3rd team, we could have got in. Well, we were the 4th team, we could have got in.
Yeah.
So I'd rather it expand as opposed to them coming out and going, hey, we're bringing it back to 2, because then everybody would have been up in arms. So this is
I get expansion. I understand that. And going from 2 to 24 is like saying, hey, this guy's thirsty over there. Get him a glass of water. So you dunk him head first into the ocean. Like there's expansion, and then there's whatever we're doing right now. Like, did you ever look at Georgia Tech this season and think they were a playoff team?
I mean, I guess not like as the same of like Ohio State, but
What about Michigan?
I mean, probably not. But
Michigan was the 22nd ranked team. They're in.
Sure. Well, I got to look into more. And like I said, I got to study more, Rob, on like how they're doing the mid majors and getting those guys involved, like how they do with college basketball. I'm curious how that'll play into, because you're going to see some teams that play in smaller conferences get in probably. That's how they're going to get them in. But hey, if anything, Notre Dame can't complain anymore. I love our buddy Ryan Lang. I love Ryan. But my goodness, I know he was up in arms when Notre Dame didn't get into the playoffs. And, you see, they're going to get in. They're going to get in. So shout out to Ryan.
Well, they were going to get in beforehand because I think they already worked out where if they were in the top 15 or something like that, they were automatically in after this whole time around. I know, because Miami lapped them, right?
Yeah, that was the big discussion. Was Miami had beat them in the head-to-head in week 1.
I was just about to say, man, if there's just a way that we could have figured out who was better out of those 2 teams, Notre Dame or Miami, then we probably could have figured that out.
I don't know. I guess my final point on this, because I know we're running up against it. I'll hand the baton off to Jak John, because you guys will hear a lot of me all week. I want Jak John to get some more thoughts in, but I guess my final thought is on this topic. Let the guys play. I don't have any great intelligent thing to say like I typically do. Just let them play more football. Who's complaining about more football? Because guess what? This is going to leak into February probably, which leaks into the Super. We're going to go boom, college football championship.
That's actually the big thing about how they're going to schedule this.
Yeah.
And how they're going to make, because you got to remember too, I know in name only they're student athletes, but they are student athletes, and they got to be wrapped up by some point in time here to kind of keep going with their academics. But I'm sure nobody gives 2 shits about that.
Like Cardale Jones said, and I'll hand it to Jak John. We didn't come here to play school. All right, go Jak John.
No, and that was going to be my main point. I'm a sicko. More football, yay. Also, it's going to work. It's college football. If anything, that's more successful than the NFL half the damn time when it comes to watching and eyeballs and all that stuff. I mean, it just is. Which I'll be interested to see, because here the big thing is we're going to watch NDSU, which was whatever conference they were in, but they constantly won. They couldn't do anything, but now they're going to the Mountain West conference. So I'll be interested with 20 something, with 22 friggin' openings. Don't be shocked if NDSU smacks somebody in the mouth maybe once or twice that they shouldn't be doing it. I am going to be so interested to see the NIL money after the first 2 years, because what's going to happen is you're going to have 2, maybe 1, 3, whatever rando Midwest college.
Madison.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Oh, it's an upset on Bama in the playoffs. They kick them out. Oh my goodness. How much money are those kids going to all of a sudden start making?
Well, and that's what I think what'll help out the NIL money and get it spreading out for just in general, and I guess this is one of the good things about the 24 team is that winning a national title is now possible at a lot more other schools. If you even think about it now, if Cignetti were to do what he did at Indiana 20 years ago, okay, he might have had a good, season or 2. I don't know if they would have won the Natty or not, but he would have been on to Alabama or Penn State or USC or Texas. But now in modern college football, obviously, Indiana won the national title. He can look around and say, as long as I'm getting paid, I don't need to leave. The idea is to have a better chance at winning a national title. I can win one here. And now if it's not just Indiana, but you can say that, with, the lower level SEC schools, the Kentuckys of the world, or you can now go out west and, if it's Arizona or Colorado or Wyoming, like these schools that were always kind of in the middle or kind of forgotten about when it came down to football powers, you can win a title there now. Especially look at the Big Ten. I know everyone's going to bitch about the fact that probably two-thirds of the conference will get in to the playoff. There it is. At that point in time, this is going to be the only time, the first time ever in Minnesota's history or Wisconsin that they're going to have basically the same shot that Ohio State can if they can pay for the team and get it out there and coach them up. So at least, you are spreading it out there a little bit.
Yeah. No, Jak John. Yeah, exactly, Rob. I'm sorry. Great points. That was foul by Jak John. We bring him on the show.
We're talking championships right now. So
yeah. We'll keep it warm in Minnesota. For anybody not trying to nobody probably understands why that's important. Jak beat me in fantasy football, and now he gets to rock that in Minnesota. Rob, you brought up a good point though, and I know we're up against it here. Keon Sports actually tuned into the conversation and said, just too many teams makes rivalry games mean nothing. Regular season
That's the other. The regular season's meaningless. You're going to have a 5-loss team make the playoffs.
Yep, he said, I miss it being 4. Also, teams should win their conference. So they are siding on the side of one Rob Rozycki tonight, at least Keon Sports. We appreciate you tuning on in, and everybody for tuning on in. Rob, man, we haven't done a 3-hour show in a minute, bro.
No, we haven't done well. The first segment going with our Cavaliers loathing and everything along that line really extended the legs on this show for sure. But 3 hours flew by a lot quicker than 3 hours really was. So if you have been with us the whole way, thank you very, very much for sticking around with us. We'll part ways now. I think we can call this a day, gentlemen. I think 3 good hours here. We can stamp the time card and have our day off me and Jack will have a day off tomorrow. Eli will be on tomorrow night with Inside Edge Primetime there. And they will figure out what the hell happened in the sports world throughout Monday and probably give you a capper on the weekend too. Jak John, thank you very, very much for coming in and sitting in for AA Anthony Alford.
Hey, it was a lot of fun. I will say this. You mentioned something early on. I just want to make it good. Colorado Avalanche, 3.
Oh, yeah.
Vegas Golden Knights, 5. They came roaring back in the second period and third, which is quite interesting because typically they're an early game team.
Well, and it's just amazing, too, because how long have the Knights been around? 6-7 years, somewhere in there.
Say somewhere like that. It might be 7. It legit might be 7. Yeah,
they've made the Stanley Cup Finals like half of their existence.
They made their first Stanley Cup, I believe, 3 years in.
I think it was their second or third year in the league, and they won it right. Yeah.
Yep. And then what is it? I don't think they've gone back since, but they are constantly in the talk. They're good. They're a good team, and Vegas loves them because Vegas loves a winner.
And the NHL draft expansion,
run, baby.
I know, and I believe Vegas would be up 3-0 on that.
They are. And Colorado is supposed to be
the presumptive favorite to come out of that conference.
They are period the best team in this playoffs right now.
I will say this:
Vegas is smacking them. And
I'll say this, Jak John, first off, my final thoughts before I hand it back to Rob eventually to close us out is, again, thank you for answering the call. We appreciate you. It will not be the last time we have you on the network. We'll have to get you in here. Maybe I'll get a vacation day every now and then, and you can fill in for me and sit here with
I'm going to the beach soon, so that's going to happen.
Rob's next. All right, but we appreciate you. Again, we've known you for over a decade. Rob, myself, and AA, obviously, we've known you for over a decade. We knew what we were getting ourselves into when we asked you to join us for the next this past 3 hours. We appreciate you extending your availability and just being our bro for over a decade, 11 years now, pal. We appreciate you. Thank you. So, thanks, Jak John. And thank you, Rob Rozycki, pal. You know what? You don't get a lot of thank yous every now and then. I'm going to give you a thank you for keeping this boat steered the right
Afloat.
way. Yeah, afloat. Exactly. Before I say too many words, we kept the boat afloat. And Double A's going to be happy that we have a show to come back to next Sunday. So let's close this thing out.
Yeah. We had the keys to the car and we didn't wrap it around the telephone pole. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. And yes, we are. We call that not doing the Tiger Woods. So yeah, we're pretty good with that. For everybody here at the main event, the Inside Edge Net, thank you again for listening, and thank you again for sticking around for the 3 full hours of today's radio program. For Eli Moon, for Jak John, for AA Anthony Alford, wherever the hell he may be right now, I am Rob Rozycki. This has been the main event on the Inside Edge Net. I'll see you when I see you, or we'll see you when we see you.